If you've ever thought some FINRA rules are just plain stupid, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, where we continue on earnings week here. This is going to be the Tuesday, July 22nd edition. We'll cover NXPI's earnings last night. We'll take a look at whatever stocks you want. There are a bunch of stocks that reported earnings here today. RTX, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, GM, all reported. So we can take a look at those a little bit later on as you folks want. Got some news to talk about, some exciting news, hopefully, the good and the bad with the whole FINRA news. We'll break all that down. We'll look at stocks. We'll find setups today. And perhaps above all else, we will have some fun. It's a T3 Tuesday, and Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for Tuesday, July 22nd starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. The early birds get the worm. Welcome, early birds. We are going to break down a bunch of news. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. EKS, good morning. Lockheed Martin down 8.15% on the earnings miss. Again, I'm sure we'll take a look at some of those defense stocks, as those have been pretty good long-term holds. You know, remember, just really quickly, I shared a quote from Ryan Dietrich yesterday. We don't want defensive names to be leading. That would be bad for the bull market. I understand that they had earnings and we're getting an initial reaction. We'll cover all that stuff here today. Good morning, EKS. Great to see you again. Sun-kissed Yogi, good morning. Good to see you again. Graf, good morning. Jane, good morning. Peter, good morning. Francis, good morning. Pete, good morning. Would love no more PDT rule. I saw this story last night. We're going to break it down for you. I'm going to tell you everything I know about it. There's good news and there's bad news about that. When I saw this story last night, the PDT rule doesn't affect me anymore. Although now I'm kind of tempted to maybe open up a second account and call it a play account or a sniper account. And I can do that with any amount of funds when this changes. Just give some more options. Just straight up here, this is the stupidest rule I've ever seen when it comes to stock trading. I get a lot of the insider trading rules. I understand the pump and dump rules, and I think there's actual legitimacy to those protecting investors and traders. But this PDT rule is absolute nonsense. So when I saw this news last night, I had to do a double take to make sure I wasn't getting trolled. But we'll break that down here pretty soon. I agree with you, Pete, 100%. Good morning, Mystic Meditation Music. The alliteration is so crispy on that name. Pretty awesome. Welcome. Hopefully you enjoy yourself. Day Trader, good morning. Good to see you again. C-Dub, good morning. Welcome back. Fairchild, great to see you again as well. Shannon, good morning. Let's make thousands today. I love the attitude, Shannon. Let's get it. Charles, good morning. Can you please take a look at RTX earnings and tell me why they're getting killed? Yes, I'm actually just going to go ahead and add RTX, LMT, and NOC to the list. We'll look at that basket of three defense names together. Yes, Charles, we will do that in a little bit. Dan, good morning. Good to see you again. ADL, good morning. Live from Bogota, Colombia. All right, the emerald capital of the world down there in Bogota. Really good stuff. Zach, good morning. Lambo Rolls, good morning. Chuck, good morning. Producer, good morning. Tyler, good morning. Quantum, Kevin, and JJ, good morning. Hoot, Monica, and Laura, good morning. Gringo, Ed, Austin, Booglog, good morning. Be free. PDT is ridiculous. Facts. Fact check accurate. We got some good news on that, though. Paulo, good morning. Guinea Johnson, good morning. Brandy, it's good to see you again. Welcome back. Bernhard, welcome back. King Has, welcome back. Can we take a look at TTD, says Tyler. Yes, absolutely. I'm not in that anymore, but we can absolutely take a look at that. Glass half full. Good morning. My glass is also half full today. Welcome, brother. Graphic user interface. GUI. Can I call you GUI? Good morning. It's good to see you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY chart. Get started with the SPY chart. And then we'll dive into what I'm sure everyone's waiting for. Sam, we'll get to the PDT change here in a sec. Morning, Bobcat. Good to see you again. All right, here's your SPY chart. So I got to be honest with you. Yesterday, I felt really good about the market. I was like, okay, sweet. It looks like we're going to keep going here. The 630 to 640 looks like the next spot that we're going to kind of resolve at. And in the afternoon, really close to the close, we pretty much round tripped back to where we were at. So here you go. So we're a little bit weaker in the pre-market. We had no data this morning, or yesterday morning, excuse me. We traded up right into the open, and then once it opened, we just went right to 631, and we traded around that. We're actually pretty range bound for most of the late morning and afternoon. And then near the close, we basically came right back down to the pre-market range, and that's where we held. So this actually felt kind of nasty. And if you looked at a daily chart here, this candle, not great. Looked like we tried to poke higher, and buyers were like, nope, we're not ready for that. Market came back in. So that actually sets us up here for today. We had a number of companies report earnings today. Some of them missed and didn't do all that well. Now, S&P futures, as of right now, are in the green. They're up by 0.04%. So we are ticking higher here, and we are up off the lows. But I'm not ready to say that this is going to be a totally bullish day. Again, the reversal yesterday, it wasn't on terribly huge volume, but it wasn't as low as the volume levels we were seeing for SPY during the melt-up phase. So again, just really kind of want to see how we trade here today, want to be tactical. I actually, when we started moving down, I figured, we're near all-time highs or at all-time highs. I better get some SPY puts just in case. And I threw my order out there, and the price just ran away from my order. So I said, I'm not going to chase. And as a result, I have no downside insurance or hedges on here today. So hope that doesn't bite me. We shall see. The 20-day moving average is at 621. So if we really start to pull today, that would be the first level that I would look at that we would really want to hold. I might even throw 624 in there. That was the bottom of the candle here from Thursday, which was a pretty good upside day. So we'll see what we get here today. As far as the economic events, again, we have kind of a light week. It's more about earnings this week. We have Powell giving a speech this morning at 8:30. That starts in about 23 minutes. I don't think that's going to be market moving. In other words, I don't think there's going to be anything new from Powell in that. We'll see what the Fed watchers do in terms of analyzing his words and the word count and everything. We'll see if that makes a move. I'm not anticipating it, but just be aware that's happening at 8:30. Then we have the Richmond Fed data at 10. We have Bowman's speech at the same conference at 12:25, and we have the ECB President Lagarde speaking at 1 p.m. Eastern today. So there are some economic events here today. All right, let's take a quick look at the morning update. Kind of mixed here in the pre-market. Again, we're pretty much near flat. Looks like the IWM is a little bit green. We'll see how the day shakes out. I don't want to make any big proclamations. No company events to worry about here today, and no IPOs, at least as far as I'm aware. And then let's just run through some of the earnings here. So we did have Danaher reporting. They're down 3.7%. GM down 2.75%. I believe that's actually up off the lows, though. MSCI, this is just down a little bit here. Northrop Grumman is actually higher by 2.75%. That's the one that seems to buck the trend, if you will. Coca-Cola down slightly. They're, of course, in the news because they are confirming they're offering a new Coke product with cane sugar. The key takeaway here is that this is not going to replace all of the high fructose corn syrup. So we'll see how this actually shakes out in terms of profitability. In terms of the decision, could not agree with this more. Anyone that's had Coke with cane sugar knows it is absolutely superior in all ways. RTX, they reported, as Charles was asking, they're down by 1% today. Wouldn't necessarily say it's getting killed, but it is under pressure here today. Lockheed Martin was your other defense name. That's down 7%. I think this is actually... No, you asked about RTX. Anyway, Lockheed Martin, this is the one that's really under pressure. RTX is actually bouncing pretty good here in the pre-market. Texas Instruments, they're down 1.5% on the back of their earnings, ahead of their earnings later on today. Also, Intuitive Surgical, medical device company that we've looked at before here on the show, they report earnings here today, along with Capital One. This is all going to be after the close. Canadian Railway, EQT, and Baker Hughes, all going to report later today. Okay, let's get through some of the news here real quick. I guess I don't necessarily want to start with the PDT because I want some of the non-early birds to get in here. I'm sure this is going to be one of the top things that people wants to know about. But believe me, I will cover that. Let me just go through some of the basic market stuff first here, and then we'll go ahead and get in that. I promise. Sam, I promise we'll get to that. All right. U.S. stocks likely to open on a mixed note ahead of Coca-Cola, GM, and Lockheed Martin. Even as indices were mixed on Monday, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ marked fresh records despite the August 1 hard deadline for the tariffs. The U.S. trade deals are pending with several countries. However, the administration is willing to negotiate even after that date. That was news that we got yesterday. Shouldn't really surprise anybody. The 10-year actually traded up a little bit here, but still not at that 4.5 level that we're really kind of watching. It's at 4.39. The 2-year is at 3.86. We'll see how that continues as well. Getting to some of the insights here, Ryan Dietrich from Carson Research highlighted in an X post that the S&P 500 index broke a rare streak of closing above the 20-day moving average for 60 days in a row. 60. This was the longest run since 1998. What else happened at the around that 1998-2000 timeframe? He underscored that going back 50 years, this has happened 4 other times, and the index has been up a year later 20% and 26%, and never lower after 3 months of such an instance. So if you believe that past results are going to hold again here, we should be all right for the rest of the year, or close to it. And we'll see how 2026 shakes out. For anyone that wants to go through some of these insights, I'll go ahead and drop the link to that story there in the chat, and you can do that at your leisure. The big takeaway, oops, I didn't mean to click on that. I just tried to highlight it. The big takeaway here is that it is what it is, yet another clue that the bull market has legs. The one thing that I want to mention here is even in bull markets, strong bull markets, there's still days that have pullbacks. We shouldn't let that change us from our goal or change our plan or anything like that. Stay vigilant. Meanwhile, economist Jeremy Siegel stated in his weekly commentary that Jerome Powell's continued presence at the Fed poses more downside risk than upside benefit. Not sure I agree with Mr. Siegel there, but, quote, by stepping down voluntarily, Powell could preserve the Fed's credibility, disarm political hostility, and force Trump to fully own the economic outcome, whether good or bad, end quote. Now, he's right about that, but the reality here is I don't know that Jerome Powell really cares about the political hostility. I think that most people are aware now that what Trump does is try to get under your skin and agitate you. Powell's not getting fired. His term ends in May of next year, so he's less than a year until he's going to move on anyway. And Trump recently, despite all of the barbs and let's call it smack talking, has said he's not going to remove Powell. So I don't necessarily see why just stepping down just to appease this helps. Siegel's right. By doing this, you could really put all of the blame in Trump's basket. He'd probably just blame Biden, to be quite honest with you. But I'm just not sure that this is actually going to happen. My vote from where I sit here today, Powell finishes his term and leaves in May as kind of already scheduled. I'm not necessarily rooting for anyone to step down or anything like that. Let's just finish it out here. Quote, if the economy weakens, it will be Trump's Fed chair in place. There's no one else to blame. If the economy holds steady or improves, little would change in terms of perception, and the Fed's independence would remain intact. He explained that this is not a decision based on principle alone, but on expected value. The probabilities and outcomes suggest resignation strengthens the Fed's position over time. Siegel adds, quote, some will argue that resignation under political pressure would undermine the central bank's authority. I believe the opposite. A graceful, voluntary exit now could shield the institution from greater political intervention later. Siegel's been doing this a lot longer than I have. He's been paying attention to the Fed before I even knew what the Fed was. So hard for me to disagree with him there. I just don't see this happening. I see Powell finishing out his term, to be quite honest with you. Okay, now Sam, I don't think we need a rate cut, but I think the conditions would be good for a rate cut. I actually think it would help on the backdrop of everything else that's going on. And so I think this is kind of what the battle is. Despite thinking we're on the right path here, I do think that maybe kind of forcing people out by exchanging barbs like this in an institution that's supposed to be independent, I'm not sure what the results will be. I kind of think this is a sideshow, to be quite honest with you. I don't really think that this actually matters. I don't really think the stock market is going to be markedly different depending on what happens. That's just my take. We'll see. I think cooler heads are going to prevail. Okay, let's go to NXPI. We'll actually start with the chart here. We'll break this news up a little bit. here is what your NXPI chart looks like. And you can see it's actually kind of a rough timing, if you will, for this to miss, because it did look like after the Liberation Day lows here, not only did we bounce pretty good, but it actually looked like we were going to take this trend line out that goes back to July of last year. This downtrend that we've been in for a year actually looked like we were going to take that out. In fact, we got a move above the trend line and we closed above the trend line, but it was this inverted hammer here. Now today, with the 4.5% gap down, we are actually trading down beneath that trend line. The key here, though, we did have a golden cross, and that golden cross happened yesterday. So part of me is wondering if we're actually going to get this golden cross to resolve. Maybe NXPI does kind of put in a bottom here around 215. It's at 219 right now. If that's the case, maybe this golden cross and another test or retest of the trend line to the upside, if we're able to snap that, this actually might start moving here. And if that's the case, I do think 250, maybe even 260 would be possible here with NXPI. We'll go into the story here in a little bit. I can show you exactly why they're down here. NXPI reported second quarter revenue of $2.93 billion, beating the analyst estimates of $2.9 billion, according to Benzinga Pro. The chip maker reported second quarter adjusted earnings of $2.72 per share, which beat the analyst estimate of $2.67 per share. This is what really kind of collapsed things, though. Total revenue was down 6% year over year. NXP generated $779 million in cash flow from operations and $696 million of free cash flow in the quarter. NXP said it returned $204 million, to shareholders during the quarter via buybacks and $257 million via dividends. These are both things that investors want to see of their holdings without question. Company ended its period with $3.17 billion in cash and cash equivalents. Quote, we continue to drive solid profitability and earnings by strengthening our competitive portfolio by aligning our water fabrication footprint consistent with our hybrid manufacturing strategy. That came from Kurt Sleevers, I believe is how you pronounce his name, president and CEO of NXP. NXP expects third quarter revenue of $3.05 billion to $3.25 billion versus the analyst estimates of $3.05 billion. So the estimate is actually at the bottom end of the range of guidance. That's not bad either. The company sees third quarter adjusted earnings in the range of 2.89 to 3.3 per share versus the estimate of 3.06 per share. So that estimate pretty much smack dab in the middle of the guided range. Almost looks like it's in line there. Quote, our guidance for the third quarter reflects the combination of emerging cyclical improvement in NXP's core end markets, as well as the performance of our company's specific growth drivers. NXP's management team will have the conference call here this morning at 8 a.m. Actually, that started 18 minutes ago. So it might be worth watching NXP here today on how that conference call finishes up. I'm sure if we get any news out of that we didn't get from the report, we'll be able to react to that as it shows up. Okay, let's see. How many people do we have here? Okay, we got enough here. I'll probably have to repeat this a couple of times today. It's kind of short, so it's not really a big deal. Let's talk about the pattern day trading rule. Benzinga doesn't have a story yet on this, so pardon me for borrowing the one from MSN. If you want to go through the Bloomberg paywall, it's up to you. I'm not going to do that. FINRA poised to lower the threshold on day trading. That's the good news. And I understand, as someone that, when I first started this, I've told the story before, I blew up my first two accounts. So my first account, I started with $1,000, and my second account, I started with $2,000, and I ended up blowing those up when I was figuring out how this game works. It was my third account that I was able to grow and get to where I'm at right now. For years, when I first started this, I battled the pattern day trader rule. I had to deal with this all the time. I didn't understand it at the time. Before my account got flagged for being a pattern day trader, what I would do is I would try to time the day trades throughout the week so that I would use up all three of my day trades in the 5-day rolling period and then allow it to reset. So I was still kind of day trading. But this creates its own host of problems, and it's my belief that this actually makes you less disciplined. If you only have one day trade left and you see one of the stocks that you bought all of a sudden turn around, now you're nervous and you're like, oh my God, I can't lose. I have to get rid of this. Burn up your other day trade, only to see that stock bounce in the afternoon. I mean, there are an infinite amount of combinations in which this sucks, to be quite honest with you. So I've dealt with this for a number of years, and I completely agree with anyone else out there. It feels like liberation when you get comfortably above this level because you can react to things every single day. So before I actually dive into this, the first thing that I'm going to say here is I'm self-taught. I started in 2014. I've been following the market pretty much since the early 2000s, but I really didn't actually start participating until 2014. In all of the time that I've paid attention, I have not yet heard a single good argument for this rule. So just in the interest of having the argument from both sides, if anyone has a case for why this is a good rule and why this should stay around, I want to hear it, and I want to ask the chat to please not make fun of this person. I think that it would be great to kind of just get an understanding here. But I'll say in my entire career, I've never understood this rule. I think it's stupid, and it actually felt for a while like this was holding me down. And I would imagine that if this happened to me, it likely happened with a number of you or folks that you know in your circle. So that's why this is such a big deal. And that's why people are really excited about this news. Let me go through it and then we'll discuss it. And I definitely want to get the opinions here from the group. The Financial Industry Regulation Authority, or FINRA, is preparing a proposal that would significantly lower a threshold for retail investors to engage in frequent trading of equities and options, according to a media report. The current pattern day trading rule restricts investors with less than $25,000 in their margin account from borrowing to trade 4 or more times in a 5-day period. Under the proposal, retail investors would only need to have $2,000 in their accounts for such rules. Under the current rules, when an investor with less than $25,000 exceeds the $2,000 margin in borrowing from a brokerage to make equity and options trades, FINRA labels the investor a pattern day trader, limiting the investor from making excess trades on margin. If the proposal becomes final, the 3-trade maximum would be eliminated, and individual brokerages would make their own margin calculation and set their own levels for the minimum balance needed to trade. A group of retail brokerages discussed a draft of the proposal that's likely to be submitted to FINRA's board this fall. That's 2025. So in the next couple of months here. That was cited by Bloomberg, citing people with knowledge of the matter. If the board approves the proposal, then FINRA, a self-regulated organization of broker-dealers, is expected to submit it to the Securities and Exchange Commission for final approval by the end of the year. The actual rule change could take as long as a year to put into place. This is the only bad news, in my opinion, from this entire story here. So while it's very, very exciting, while I do think that this is the correct move, the reality about when this is actually going to be live and impacting folks is probably closer to the end of 2026. So just the TLDR here, the rules are changing for the better, but it's not imminent, even if they go through all of the steps that they have to go through to formally make this change. One other thing that I wanted to mention here, it mentions in here, if the proposal becomes final, the 3-trade maximum would be eliminated and individual brokerages would make their own margin calculations and set their own levels for minimum balances needed to trade. So what that's telling you there is that this might not go to zero. It's not as if you can open a $500 account and start day trading left and right. I don't know why you would, frankly, but it's literally telling you that that's the case. And I think that this is actually not going to be all that bad, because what this does is this is going to set up competition. So some type of broker that is run by Goldman Sachs, or some type of execution platform that's run by Goldman Sachs, they probably will have a rule, and it probably won't affect us. But retail brokerages, Webull, Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, Schwab, Fidelity, these folks are going to be competing with other people. And if you're trying to grow number of accounts, having a higher threshold here is going to make you less appealing than some of your competitors. So I actually think that this competition is going to help, but I think it's a key thing to note here that it's likely not going to go to zero. Okay, so this is the news that everyone has kind of been waiting about. I want to go back here and see. I'm going to just start reading through some comments here. We've got, 6 minutes until we get T3 here. I'll save the rest of the news for the backside of that. There's really only, I think, two other stories that I wanted to go through here. Pete says it does, in reference to the rule sucking, I believe. I would have taken many smaller losses and larger gains without the limitations. Spot on. 100%. And when you start thinking back, if any of you have a trade journal and you keep really good notes on why you exited, if you go back, you might realize how much this has been affecting you and for how long. I don't have records. I didn't start keeping a trade journal right when I started. It actually took a number of years before I started doing that. And my notes are, I admit, not all that great. But this definitely would have helped me early on, especially before I really learned how to develop a thesis and then hold something. Man, I was just kind of trading with the wind. The S&P would start to move down. Oh my God, we got to sell. I still think I would have done better. Madib says, normal people are limited on trades, but politicians can trade unlimited. They also have more money than us. We won't get into that. Zabeth, couldn't sell a position and took a big loss on my $2,000 account. Your story, dude, is not unique even by a little bit. Not unique by a little bit. Barry the Goat, I gave in and jumped into, sorry, I thought that was about... I thought that was about the PDT. Tyler says, I use a cash account for the most part. I like taking as many trades as I want. This is the current workaround for this. But I think that restricts some of the trading, right? Like if you're on margin, that's how you short. You need to have a margin account, I'm pretty sure. And then some other like multi-leg option trades, I believe you also need to have a margin account or you literally can't do them. Agree, the rule is stupid. PDT is great for institutions because the retail have to gamble on trades overnight. That feels spot on. Absolutely. Day trading rules drive me crazy. Totally get it. I wish they would just get rid of the PDT rule completely. Quantum, it sounds like that's what's happening here on a little bit longer time frame. Good morning, Robert. It's great to see you again. So many people never get ahead because rules keep people under thumb and then they give up. I've seen this. Man, I've seen this. I've seen people that actually had a interest in getting into the stock market, and the more they started to read about it, the more active they wanted to become. And then all of a sudden, no, you can't do that, or your account is going to be locked for 90 days to only closing positions. GTFO, man, that's garbage. Eliminating PDT would help slightly level the field between retail and institutional, not to mention the huge amounts of money that firms would generate. And I think that, so I suspect that your comment here about firms generating more money, that's likely what probably pushed this over the finish line. I think that this came into play, what was it, 2002, producer, right around the dot-com bubble or something like that, where people lost a whole bunch. I still don't understand the genesis of the rule. I feel like if people could have sold more during this crazy volatile period, they probably would have exited positions that were getting ripped up. I don't think holding some junky .com stock that had no business for multiple days just so you didn't have to go through this. I don't see any of the benefit. I don't see any of the benefit. It would be nice to see the rule go bye-bye. Totally agree. Tyler, you were asking about the benefit of having a margin account. There are other types of trades that you can do. I don't use margin, but what I want is, and if it's not a long-term hold, then I sometimes sell the same day. Me too. Like Netflix yesterday would have been a great example. Or the day before, whichever day it was. Stock comes into 1,200. Buy it there. If it drops beneath 1,200, you're out. Small loss, no big deal. If not, let that baby run, right? It's Netflix after all. So this is all really good news. It's going to take a while, so I don't want anyone necessarily to get excited, but my takeaway here, we are absolutely moving in the right direction. So let's keep that up. Okay. Jeremy says, I'm fighting this rule right now. And I wish that tomorrow or by Monday it was going away. But it's not. Just hang in there, right? Hang in there. Here's what I would say. Now that we know that this is happening, don't give up. Don't give up. And there were a number of times during my own journey where I thought about giving up because I just wasn't making money. And this money that I had saved, I was losing on some trades. And eventually something clicked. And I'm extremely lucky and I'm extremely thankful that I didn't give up. And I don't want anyone else to give up. It looks like things are going to change and change for the better. Okay. It looks like the producer put a poll question up around that. Good stuff, producer. All right, let's go ahead really quick. I want to talk about OpenAI. We'll do this ahead of T3 here. OpenAI is spending billions to stay ahead in AI, but JP Morgan warns this is, quote, vibe spending. That's the first time I've heard that term before, vibe spending, could push investors to their limit. In a rare note covering a private company on Friday, JP Morgan Chase analysts Brenda Duvers and Lula Sheena cautioned that OpenAI's aggressive spending on talent and research and development, what they've dubbed vibe spending, could test investors' patience. According to the note, OpenAI is expected to burn $46 billion over the next 4 years, while the company has raised $57 billion in just 2.5 years. The analyst said profitability may not arrive until 2029. Investor expectations will be tested. Now, before we go through the rest of this, I do want to highlight that there's another stock that we all know about that had very, very similar back and forth throughout its maturity, and that stock is Amazon. There was a period where the bull versus bear case is, yeah, Amazon's great, they sell everything, but can they make money? And there were people on the short side of that. There were people on the long side of that. Well, you folks know the result of that. The TLDR there is that Amazon just decided, you know what, we're going to turn on the profit jets, shut everybody up, and the stock is one of the most, one of the best performing stocks of all time. I mean, how many articles have you seen where if you put $1,000 in Amazon back in the late 90s, you'd also be getting married in Venice for $50 million? I mean, it's just the amount of gains that some of these companies that actually hit over the long term have are incredible. And I think that there's going to be something similar here with AI. Just my own gut feeling on that. One major cost driver is retaining top AI talent. Meta Platforms' new super intelligence lab has already poached several researchers for OpenAI, reportedly offering compensation well over $100 million. But if they need a good prompter and they want to pay me $100 million, call me, Mark. 7 of Meta's first 10 hires came directly from OpenAI. Still, JP Morgan sees major upside. The firm said OpenAI has a strong first mover advantage, with its app surpassing 500 million weekly average users this spring, more than 75% of AI app downloads globally in markets where it competes. The bank also called India as a key growth market where OpenAI is already overtaking Alphabet and Alphabet's Google. Additionally, OpenAI's $6.5 billion acquisition of Jony Ive's hardware startup could create a hardware-software flywheel, driving revenue through devices and more profitable subscriptions. That'll be interesting to see if that happens. This marks the first time JP Morgan has analyzed a private tech firm like OpenAI, underscoring the company's growing influence. The other thing I think we can take away from that is that the writing's on the wall here about AI. And JP Morgan says, we better try and make as good of a name for us as we can. Maybe we'll start looking at some of these private companies. They're likely going to either one day become public or somehow interact with the public markets. This is a craze that is just more than a handful of companies. So it looks like, again, JP Morgan probably making the right decision in this case. However, the note also questions whether OpenAI's lead is sustainable. Having the, quote, best AI model, end quote, is not a robust moat, the analyst warned, noting that model performance is converging across competitors. Meanwhile, on Monday, it was reported that 6 months after the White House debut, the $500 million Stargate project, a joint AI infrastructure venture between OpenAI and SoftBank, has stalled. Despite promises of $100 billion in immediate investment, it has yet to secure a major data center deal and is now focusing on a smaller facility in Ohio. As per the report, disagreements over structure, control, and strategy between OpenAI and SoftBank have led to delays and scaled back ambitions, with leadership tensions between Sam Altman and Masayoshi-san, slowing progress. So We'll see where what ends up happening to OpenAI here. I think this is interesting. I think this is just more confirmation that this AI thing that we're in, whether you think it's a bubble or a craze or a theme or whatever, it's got a lot of legs. Even if it does end up crashing, if you will, or pulling back substantially, there's going to be a lot of legs prior to that happening, I suspect. Okay. JP Morgan making some more news here. Where are we at? We still good here? JP Morgan making some more news here. JP Morgan shakes up quantum computing division, recruits State Street's Rob Otter as Marco Pistoia and Charles Lim exit. Marco Pistoia, the former head of JP Morgan's Applied Research Group, has left the bank as per a CNBC report yesterday. Pistoia, a former IBM inventor, was instrumental in the group's research into emerging technologies such as quantum computing, blockchain, and computer vision, among others. The bank has replaced Pistoia with Rob Otter, the global head of digital technology and quantum computing at State Street. Otter, who previously led JP Morgan's Onyx blockchain business, has a wealth of experience in the technology sector, having held roles at Barclays, Credit Suisse, and Goldman Sachs. Charles Lim, another key figure in the research group as the bank's global head for quantum communications and cryptography, also left JP Morgan. Quantum computing is a rapidly evolving field with potential applications in various industries, including finance, drug development, and material science. The technology is expected to revolutionize the way complex problems are solved, with industry leaders like Alphabet and IBM racing to develop commercial quantum computers. And this is why we see so much movement in some of those quantum names. Earlier this year, Microsoft also made significant move in the quantum computing space, unveiling its Majorna 1 quantum chip. The company's CEO, Satya Nadella, has highlighted the potential of quantum computing as the next game changer in scientific breakthroughs. In June 2025, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang reversed his earlier skepticism on quantum computing, now saying that the technology is nearing a breakthrough and will soon tackle real-world problems beyond the reach of traditional computers. So that's a long way of saying that these quantum names, yeah, they're going to be back. We're going to have more opportunities with them. You can take that to the bank. Just might not be today. All right, folks, it is a T3 Tuesday, so we're going to go ahead and welcome on our guest, and we got a special one here today. Happy Tuesday. There's Red Dog. How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. A lot of stuff has happened since we last met. I think we met on May, in the middle of May last time. And so just wondering, what do you see out there? What do you got? What do you want to start with here? I'm hoping you'll talk about the SPY. Perfect.
There's a SPY. Look at the size of this move. I think when we talked in May, I don't know exactly where it was, but just let's take a little step back.
It was May 19th. I looked it up.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. Well, I will say, some people like Red Dog, when did this active sequence to the upside start? Because everyone's talking about how everyone hates this rally and how it's a key bottom and it's so hard and so difficult. But meanwhile, if you use our moving average rules, really right here is when we gapped above the 8 and 21 day, and here is when the market confirmed it would hold it on April 30th. So to me, this active sequence started on April 30th.
Okay.
Then it kind of got a little wishy-washy coming into June, where we came in, lost the 8 day, but right here is when it got re-energized. And I'll tell you, I did my best during this sequence. Sometimes like different sequences are different stocks play with different sequences, or maybe you're just in a different mind frame. I know this one I did okay, but this one, I got to believe my entire community crushed it. We had so many different money trades. I'm at the highs of my year. A lot of guys are friggin' going to Sizzler each night to have some dinner, and all is well.
Okay, good Sizzler mention right there. Good stuff. So let me ask you, where do you think we go from here? I had opened up today's show because I felt like yesterday's day was kind of ominous, if you will. Hey, pretty strong in the morning there, and really just kind of gave back a lot of the stuff over the course of the session. Where do you think we go from here?
I reduced, like the last few days, I've been a little wishy-washy. Like, I don't want to get caught in one of those leg sweeps where we're down 1% or so, which we could be, or even a move back to the 8 day or to the 21 day, which we held. So, right around 11 o'clock, I looked at the market. We're up like 250, 300 points, and my P&Ls came off their highs. I actually went red for the day. I'm like, either my stock selection right now is bad or something doesn't feel right. So I reduced some positions that I had as, trailers that were up a lot over the course of the past 2 weeks. I reduced some things I was uncommitted to, and I just tightened it up a little bit. I also, sold a little bit more premium. I sold some, 631, 632 calls just in case we just even relax and pull back, to the 8-day. So I reduced a little bit. I'm trying to be a little bit more selective just because, I don't want a leg sweep here, and it's July 22nd. I haven't even rested. Red Dog, I was supposed to be in Israel. That got canceled, so I wound up being here every day. I haven't had anything more than, a half a Friday through the weekend where I was in some kind of basketball tournament eating friggin', Buffalo Wild Wings and Outback. So I need a few days here. So I'm hoping.
No Red Dog sandwiches, huh?
No Red Dog sandwiches in Baltimore. They did have cheesesteaks, but they're like famous. I'm like, that's not a famous cheesesteak. Who puts cheese whiz? That's like fast food friggin' cheesesteak. I'm just saying, like, my Red Dog sandwich has like real cheese, jalapenos, onions, mushrooms. It's on a real bread, not like, some stale friggin' baguette. But anyway, so I feel like
my chat's going to go crazy. We end up talking about food every day. We wasted no time here today. We didn't even get to the open before we got to it. So that's good stuff.
Wait, so who's getting mad?
Well, I'm just saying every day we end up talking about food and like we're all hungry. I'm currently in my fast, which really doesn't end until like 2 p.m. today.
Me too. Listen.
Yeah. So it's just like every
good,
single day we don't even,
you.
I appreciate it. I'm trying. It's the summer. It's golf season. So we're doing push-ups in the morning. We're getting out in the rest of the day.
Awesome. Love it. You got to take some time. So anyway, I was just saying, like, so come, after you have huge moves in the market like this, part of your job as a trader is to keep your money. So if all of a sudden you start pushing it in August and you give back, 20% of your, of whatever you made, I get paid quarterly, not monthly, for the quarter, then not only do you lose that, you have to make that back before you make higher highs and you're not enjoying yourself. So I think everyone should enjoy themselves a little bit this summer. And at this point, a lot of the money moves have happened. We're going to get through earnings season. So far you haven't missed anything on earnings season, right? The banks were decent. Yep. They didn't rally. I remember Goldman was up 10. They brought it in. It's still hanging here. So you didn't have to be in an option play for Goldman. It still looks pretty good, though. This could be a good barometer of risk. Like as long as Goldman holds 691, you could be in it. If all of a sudden it starts to break, you'll know that things are priced in. Same thing with JP Morgan, priced in. Sideways, didn't break out again. And then even Netflix, came out, was a pretty solid print, but because this has been making higher highs, they sold it down and it's here. So if you had an option play, you lost money. If you looked for a Red Dog reversal yesterday post print, you made money. So, I'm just saying, don't be in a rush to do things just to do things, especially if you have a lot of money banked. Just do things that you think are compelling.
Okay. I do want to ask you really quick about TLT, if that's okay. I think the last time that we talked, we were looking at maybe a bounce from around 85 on the TLT, and we're still kind of sitting right here at 86. So I guess my question is that setup still intact? Can we still look for TLT higher here?
I don't, there's no money there. I look at it as a barometer for rates. A week ago, TLT looked like it was heading back to 83.30, and that was when the market was under pressure, because that means rates were heading to a new threshold high. So to me, what's important about the TLTs is it got out of the danger zone. So that means that's not rates aren't going to pressure the tape. Other things might hit the tape, whether it's tariffs or this or that. But right now, it's not rates. If you want to play to the upside versus 84, it's like molasses. There's 1,000 things better you could trade as a trader, but it's always good to know what the TLT is doing, because when it gets to different thresholds, the computers are programmed, to buy or sell. But right here, it's kind of a neutral and a nothing.
Okay, so this just seems like not necessarily a good trade, kind of dead money, more of an indicator than anything else at this point.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Okay, the other three stocks that I wanted to ask you about today, you're welcome to talk about any stock that you have set up here, but I did want to ask you about your thoughts on Dash, Uber, and Tesla. And you can do those in any order that you want. I know that these are active trades here, and I just want to see what Red Dog sees in the charts.
Well, Dash is a new name for me. I've been on this, actually, it's almost a birthday. At August 8th, when Dash reported and we had the bottom of the market and it friggin' ignited. There are some funds out there that are like, listen, Dash is misunderstood. It's going to be a stock that's going to be special for the years to come. So I started to get to know this stock. So if you look at Dash, basically go back to the weekly chart. This is what I posted, a bunch of different times. Like I showed the cup and handle.
Yep.
It was right around 144. I didn't really start trading it, in here when it first started. I needed to get to know it, but I started to get to know it at 144, and look where it is, building a bull flag right into where it came public here. So to me, Dash isn't done. Dash still just got back to where it came public, and it's got a lot of runway ahead. So Dash is something that should be on every trader's go-to list. Recently, they sold it down a little bit because it was so strong in the first half, but now it just rebuilt. I would say actively, if you now break down the time frame, it just held the 21-day, and you could have been a buyer here versus 233 now. Actively, you could be long versus 237, and I think in time it takes out that 248. So Dash has been absolutely unbelievable. A new name, something that my community is doing very well with. Uber, I don't trade Uber really well, to be honest. It trades counter to Tesla, counter to this. It's probably fine. It held a 50-day. I'm not going to make believe like I make money here with this one. I don't even trade it that much. It held the 50-day, gapped up, kind of making maybe a double bottom versus that. So I'm not going to really add much value there. And what was the last one?
Tesla.
Oh, so Tesla's interesting. Tesla. I was just talking about that because everyone knows that I love Tesla when Tesla's moving, when Tesla has momentum, when Tesla's leading the tape, and it hasn't been. So I haven't been that active in Tesla. But to me, it's kind of interesting because it's not priced for perfection. It hasn't made higher highs. It's not, at all-time highs. It's been like one of those banter debate type of names where, EVs are slowing, but you have AI, autonomous, and this. Elon is in government, but maybe he's not, and he's coming back. So I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna take this. I didn't take any earnings plays, and I usually take a few. I'm gonna take an earnings play in Tesla. I'm gonna buy, and don't hold it against me. I'm gonna buy. The way I frame it is this: it's like, here's resistance, 367. So that's probably where it can go. There's nothing in here. I'm going to buy a 350 by 365 call spread for Friday. So if it has a big gap and goes, and I won't have to, I won't miss it, and maybe it'll be maxed out, and I can make, it's like two times to make, $2.50 to make like 10. So that's a good risk reward.
Absolutely.
And then see, and if it's wrong, I could be mad at Elon for a while, and I'll move on and I'll revisit it. It's fine.
Okay. Really good. I actually appreciate they're giving out an earnings trade ahead of the earnings print. I believe that's Wednesday of next week, if I'm not mistaken.
No, when tomorrow.
Tom, excuse me. Tesla's tomorrow. No, you're right. My apologies. Tesla's tomorrow after hours. Okay, awesome. One more thing really quickly about Tesla. Did you see the new Tesla diner in Hollywood?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, if you go there, you got to let me know. Maybe we'll talk about Red Dog sandwiches out at the Tesla diner out there. You got anything else that really kind of looks appealing to you? Any other charts that really kind of catch your eye or anything like that?
I've been accumulating Bitcoin again. I know the money trade for Bitcoin was, going into July 4th, and I think everyone who watches the 630 Club or follows the Red Dog mindset or anything that has the tentacles of Red Dog knows that I was calling for a July 4th Bitcoin holiday, and that was right in here. And thank goodness it didn't happen. It happened a few days later, but all in all, it was consolidating. I was buying the IBIT $62 calls for a move above 112, and it didn't happen for the Tuesday when we came back. So I rolled out to the following Friday. So PS, I double dipped because it worked, for that Friday and the Friday after. Now I was like, I want to, I sold a lot into that. I'm like, let me buy as long as it holds 115. So Bitcoin is still holding this 115-ish area. So maybe there's another move, which means that, there is some speculation still out there. I did sell my Ethereum, though, on Friday, thinking that Ethereum, we were buying the $22 calls the same time I was buying the $62 IBIT calls, and what a move. So you don't need earnings to catch a good move in options. But anyway, I think we could be buying Ethereum closer to this 29.23 on the ETHE, or maybe here. So I think it's way extended, got way loud. Like, look at these two levels to buy back Ethereum. I don't think Ethereum's done, but it got a little extended.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there. And I guess the last question I have, do you have any thoughts on NVIDIA or any of the other tech names, maybe Apple? Those, I know Google reports this week as well, but we have more of those next week.
Listen, NVIDIA was a great money trade. Like, I was hyper-focused. I was getting pissed. I broke a few keyboards. No, I didn't. That was when I was 24. But right around here, when it looked like it was going to get above 146 and it was taking its time, I thought we'd get a move between 149 and 153 to new highs. And it took a little time, but Red Dog, because I'm older and more mature, I was like, it's just not ready yet. So I was going out and buying calls. I lost money one week, and then boom, we killed it on this trade, held the 8-day. Now it's just like a massage trade. I'm not that interested. like maybe today, like Nvidia is down a little bit. It's down 80 cents at 170. It was as high as 174. Maybe, I want to use this more too as a barometer of risk. Does it hold this gap? Does it hold the 8-day, which it's been holding, or does it see lower, which would then give me some clues to have a little bit more risk down, as we go into the end of July and the beginning of August.
Okay. I promise this is the last stock that I want to ask you about. The only reason I trade this is because I watched you trade this literally like a lesson a couple of years ago. It's the Trade Desk, ticker TTD. We've had a huge move down. It sure looks like the bottom's put in. So what do you see here in this chart? Because there's a huge gap that's really kind of staring us down.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I don't trade this that often. It's on my go-to list here and there, to be honest. Some guys in the Alpha team liked it a lot, so I bought options and I made a lot of money in the options. It doesn't seem like it's done a lot since. It's still, this could be like a mini lower cup and handle. It's been accumulated. It used to be like a crowd favorite. I haven't traded in a while. I don't know when's earnings. Earnings are August 7th, so in 2 weeks. I think on this one you could, go out and buy like the $85 calls. If you're gonna miss something, you're gonna miss a gap fill above, and that means in order to do that, it's getting above 85. So sometimes it does a little bit of a pre-earnings run. So if you think so, buy some 85 calls now and then wait till you get there. And then if it happens to be exciting like the last time and the business rebuilt or whatever, you have a really good trade there.
Okay. Really awesome stuff, folks. Get Scott's free ebook to see how he adds option trades to his portfolio, gunning for 200 to 500% gains. I threw that link in the chat for you. Red Dog, really appreciate it. Glad to hear that your summer's going well. Hopefully we catch up with you soon.
Wait, Ryan, I got to throw out one of those bad promos, because a lot of people like Red Dog, we love watching you talk about things, if this, then that, just tell me what to do. So I'm just going to say that, we created this product, Power Plays and Power Plays Options, where literally I'm just telling you what to do. Like my note, where it's like my game plan with 40 names and I play 10 of them and you could pick and choose, or like the Alpha team, you could see some positions, you listen. Power Plays is like, hey, maybe you're not at your desk all day. You know that I'm putting my best foot forward. So it's just like, hey, if you want me to tell you what to do, lately Power Plays have been on fire because I'm like 17 up days in a row. But that's a product that's very cheap, where I just tell you what to do. We take it off in thirds. Not all of them win, but at least it's a good setup that I like, that I'm playing, that instead of you having to push the buttons yourselves and say, hey, does he like this one? I just tell you what to do, where it potentially can go, and help you manage a trade. And that's a new product over the course of the last year.
I'll tell you what, man, I wish that there were products from pros back when I started. I had to learn a lot of trial and error on myself. I do think it made me a better trader now, but man, having professional help at the beginning, that's something else. Be sure to click on the link there in the chat. Check out Red Dog and the rest of the Alpha team. Red Dog, we appreciate your time as always, boss.
All right, keep up the good fight.
All right, take care. That is Scott Redler from T3. That stuff is awesome. I'm telling you guys, this group of traders, they are fantastic. From Red Dog to Adam Mesh to Sammy, Derek. I mean, it's just the whole group. They're really incredible. So be sure to check that out. We're grateful to have him here and break down all of those plays. How about that too? Tesla earnings play for you. How about that? Didn't even know that was on the docket there. Red Dog bringing the surprises. One day we are going to have to try those sandwiches. I will do a full-on review the first chance I get to actually try that sandwich. Okay. Really good stuff. Let's talk to another awesome person, 13. Let's see how he's doing. 13, good morning. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing wonderful. How is everybody out there? How are you?
I'm doing really good. Look, I am really excited, and it looks like the chat is also really excited about the news that we got about the pattern day trading rule. So hopefully spirits are going to be high here. Did you see that?
I saw that there was a post about it. I didn't read what's going on with the pattern day trading rule.
All right. I'm glad that you asked. FINRA is actually going to submit a new proposal eliminating the pattern day trading rule. So again, this is the big news here. Nothing has happened yet. For anyone that's joining the show a little bit late, we did talk about this a little bit earlier. Really, really exciting stuff, but we're not there yet. The way this timeline is going to work is that by the fall, they're going to submit this proposal. If it clears by next year, the actual restriction is likely not going to be lifted until the end or near the end of 2026. At least now we're on the right path here. The other TLDR from this 13 is that this might put the power back in the hands of the broker. So an individual broker might say, we can't let you day trade unless you have 2 or 5,000 or whatever it is. But I think that competition will actually kind of drive brokerages to have a lower and lower balance. And I think ultimately the entering trader or the new trader here is going to benefit from all of this. I opened by saying 13. I dealt with this when I first started. This is the worst rule that I've ever come across when it comes to stocks. And I think this hurts more than helps.
The pattern day trading rule hurts more than helps.
Correct.
Okay, because it was meant to help, wasn't it?
Yes. The history here, at least as I understand it, it's kind of dubious, but the history here is that this came, I think, around 2002 on the back of the .com bubble, and they thought, hey, well, you should make people hold these stocks because a lot of people got killed. I'll be honest with you, I don't think buying a stock that's up 80% in one day and then being forced to hold it for a day or several helps anybody. If something's not going to work, let them sell it. If they learn a lesson, they're going to learn a lesson. They should be able to carry that forward. I'm serious. I just have very, very strong feelings on this because I dealt with this for so long.
Just reminds me of when Robinhood was restricting the selling of GME. This is not going to fix that. So when you say it's putting more, power back in the hands of brokers, my thought is to do that.
Well, I mean, we'll see what if the brokers all band together and say, yeah, we're just going to keep this 25,000, that would be a massive disappointment. I tend to think that they want more customers. They want more people. Pete brought up a really good point earlier. They're likely going to earn more fee income if this goes away. So you and I both know money talks, right? Money talks. So we'll see how this all shakes out. That's the news, though, on the PDT. It looks like this is going away, but probably not until the second half of 2026.
All right. I won't be holding my breath.
All right. Okay, fair enough. All right. You want to do the movers now?
Let's do the movers.
We'll flip over to them. Yeah.
Real quick on the movers. One thing that I saw that I thought was kind of funny because we pointed out from time to time, but AG Eagle Aerial Systems, UAVS, the news does seem rehashed. It's not. It's for their EB Vision drone system, not their EB TAC drone system. It pretty much is the same news, just with like a slightly different variation for their. So this other variation of their EB drone also received UAS clearance status.
That's a really good catch. This, I would just to kind of put this in Ondas terms, if you will, the way I would explain this is Ondas has two major drone products, the Iron drone and the Optimus drone. And so this would basically be a PR about one getting certified or cleared status, and then a PR about the other one. So really good catch there, 13 on UAVS. Since we're here, why don't we just start with this one?
Let's just start with it.
Yeah, AG Eagle Aerial System shares are trading higher after the company announced its EB Vision drone is now Blue UAS certified. So as 13 just mentioned, that is causing the stock to pop here. This one actually turned around from 260 yesterday and ended up closing down here just under $2. We're back above that now. We did make a run higher. I think this absolutely puts 250 in play as a key level here today. It's where we stopped in the pre-market. That's where we stopped multiple times yesterday in the regular session. And then past that, furthermore, 267 going to be your ultimate upside. Well, maybe not ultimate, but your upside level there from yesterday's intraday high. Quick look around the horn on this one. Short interest, 9.53% of the float shorted, and that comes on 1 day to cover, and that comes on 5.9 million shares of volume. Today we've traded 4, the float's 12.5. So what do you think here for levels?
Well, this is for levels. Sorry.
Or for whatever. Sorry, the news, levels, trade plan, favorite food. It doesn't matter.
I'm a little concerned about the news because this is kind of going through the compliance. It's NYSE compliance that they received a notice on last week. So this is kind of, I'm not sure about the news headline because it seems like this is just a pump to get it up there so they could do an at the market offering. I'm not saying that they will. I didn't notice any filings, even though a Form S to show up on their newsfeed. It's for a SPAC company, it looks like. But anyway, the news is just really odd to me, and I think it's just to get the stock to move up. And if it's just for that reason only, I'd be cautious because maybe they will drop an offering. I don't know, but it just seems like a weird piece of news. And like you were saying, like if you hadn't noticed that it's EB Vision, not EB Tech, you would have thought it's the same news.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little cautious on this one. I do like your high from yesterday, that 267. We've ended up forming a head and shoulders and ended up selling off, going as low as 185, I believe. But we're back up here now, and I think I'd just be keeping an eye on that 267 area that we almost went to. It looks like we went to 250 this morning, but if we get back up to 250, I'd be looking at 267 as the next resistance area.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there. UAVS. I'm going to start at the top of the list now. So the first stock here, H2s, that's HTOO. And this is Fusion Fuel Green. So Fusion Fuel Green shares are trading higher after the company announced a non-binding term sheet outlining a partnership with a green energy technologies entity, which will invest 30 million pounds in capital over 4 years. Okay, so this stock popped from, this is a huge move. The stock's up nearly 200%, went from 4 and change yesterday to a high of 14 or maybe even higher. Looking at the short interest here, 2.49% of the float shorted there with 1 day to cover, and the average volume on this is horrific. 47,000 shares on average per day. Be careful if you're not able to get out of this one here today. It's already traded 12.5 million. Float here, really, really small. That's likely what might drive this here. I've got 648,000 shares in the float. So what do you think here, 13?
No revenue, no cash. Did a 1 for 35 reverse split recently so that it could regain NASDAQ compliance. This could be one of those that also does an offering. They absolutely need to. I was looking through some of the other things that they've done. They do, I believe this was the one I was looking at, where they do have some kind of credit facility, and this strategic partnership is encouraging. But at the same time, this is the balance sheet on this thing does not look great. And I know that their subsidiaries are the ones that are getting the headlines here. So maybe I'm looking too into this, but with a float, like with all the things that I'm reading that's done recently, with the the no revenue, no cash, recent reverse splits, and regain NASDAQ compliance, I feel like an offering's coming. So just be careful with this one. Okay. It looks like we are kind of curling over right now after hitting 1521 in the pre-market. Looking at VWAP as support, if we lose VWAP, looks to me like about 975 could be your support area, but I feel like if we lose VWAP, this thing is going to come down even further. So we will just want to wait this one out for the next trade to set up. Looks like we're testing VWAP right now.
Yeah, actually, I've got the VWAP here at 1141. We are indeed testing that as we speak here and through. Technically. Okay. Sideshow wants to know if you pronounce H2 Haktua. No, you do not.
No,
you do
this
not.
Is H2 like an H2O, like, because this is for hydrogen.
There you go, Sideshow. Appreciate the serious answer there, 13. Okay, next on the list here is going to be GVH. This is Globavend Holdings. Stock is up 26% or nearly $2 here. Let me see if we had any news on this. No, so we had a reverse stock split. Is that really what took place here? And we're just getting a little bit of carry through here today?
GVH.
Yep. Ticker GVH. Indeed. This did a 1 for 200. This is a Mullen-esque type reverse stock split here that this stock did. Not to cast aspersions on this company or anything, but nonetheless, looks like we're getting a little bit of carry through here. I see no other catalyst other than the stock split, so that's dubious at best. This float reading, actually, this came before the split. So 44% of the float shorted there. It had 1.6 million shares held short. That was a huge jump up from the previous reading that we had. So maybe this does have some squeeze potential, and maybe that's why it's trading up by 25% here. 1 day to cover on this. Stock has 3.5 million shares in the float. On average, it trades 250,000 shares. Today we traded 4.3. So what do you think, 13? We're going to have a trade here in GVH?
I didn't cover this one because I don't think it was
no problem.
This high, but let me see if I can provide some information with what I've got here. It looks like they did a $15 million public offering earlier this month. So that kind of makes me think that they're probably not going to end up doing one today. Now, what's interesting is that this is a cross-border logistics servicer from Hong Kong to Australia to New Zealand. And recently we've been getting some news. I forget the gentleman's name, but he's been negotiating with Beijing to restart, not restart, but to improve trade relations. So I'm wondering if any headline out of anything that they're doing, or for that matter, with between Hong Kong and Australia, or maybe even Hong Kong and that T10 typhoon that we just had, could affect something like this. Obviously not today, because this thing has been on a bit of a rally here, like doing a 2x from the lows. But as far as today goes, it doesn't look as great, this pre-market chart. It's every time it gets above VWAP, it doesn't spend too long above there before it comes back down. You could draw a trend line here with these peaks we've got here in the pre-market. So
did that?
All right. Well, I don't need to tell you. So if we do recapture VWAP, that trend line would be what I'd be looking at to break. And that seems to be, there seems to be an area at about, 1050, 1060. That could also provide some resistance. So that's what I'd be looking at with GVH. We need to recapture that VWAP. If we do, 1050, 1060, and that downtrend break.
Okay. Next one on the list here. This is definitely one that we've traded before, that we've seen on the movers list and the scanner a number of times. This is ticker IVF, Invo Fertility. You can see, say again?
Same news.
Yeah, the reverse stock split. So, okay. Here, you can see the stock popped up to 531. This is on the back of that reverse stock split. If we take a look at the calendar, as of yesterday, it did a 1 for 3. So not quite Mullen-esque as we described the last one, but still a 1 for 3 reverse split here. Stock is up 50% today on the back of that. Quick look at the short interest here. Not very much. 7%, 7.03% of the float shorted. 1 day to cover, but not really a whole lot in raw outstanding shares. 150,000 shares held short right now. Stock has a float of 2.14 million. On average, it trades just shy of 1 million shares a day. Today, we've traded 33.5 million. So what do you think here on...
I actually have levels for this. Yeah, the reverse split news, whatever. I don't think that's particularly the most important news. No stock really should be running on it, in my opinion. But sometimes they do. No cash, so they're going to have to find out where to get that from. As far as the stock levels go, because I have levels from the last time we traded this. Don't know when that was. I'd have to figure that out. But here we are getting some support after we had this impulse move. We're getting support from about 365. And the next area I have of resistance, where we were getting support earlier before we lost it at about 810 this morning, is 415. So if we get back through 415, then we have this consolidation that we've been dealing with, or this price action from about 7 o'clock to pretty much an hour's worth of consolidation here. We get that through 415. That's going to be where we're going to have to really see the volume increase, because I imagine there's a good amount of supply right there. Now, if we can manage to get through that, the level that I think we want to be paying attention to is about 475. That seems to be the important level, to where we need to see some multiple closes above it. Because every time we popped above that level, the very next 5-minute candle has just come right back in. So a change in that pattern would be encouraging for upside. So that's what I wanted to see with IVF, because I really don't think the news is anything spectacular. It does look like it's trying to curl back up. So first things first, let's see a recapture of 415 and then VWAP.
Okay, really good stuff there. We'll see a 5 is on deck here too for IVF, ticker IVF. Okay, let's see. Next here we have ticker KSS Coles, and this is ramping as we speak here. Was this an earnings print this morning? No. Coles price target raised to 7 from 5 at Goldman Sachs.
Massive, massive short squeeze. Look at this thing.
So let's take a look at the short interest here, 66.51%. 'Tis the season to be squeezing. Indeed, 6.68 days to cover here. Stock is ramping in the pre-market. We're up 20% here on Kohl's. 13, I think you're absolutely right. Big time squeeze here on this one. Big time squeeze. Let me see when their earnings is actually scheduled for here. August. So not till the end of next month. We're still a month away. So plenty of time on that. Okay, 13. What do you think here on Kohl's?
Well, this just started going, so I haven't covered this, but we all know what Kohl's is. It's that clothing retail. They also do have some other smaller appliances that they also sell. You ever have Kohl's Cash?
I don't think so. I used to shop at Kohl's. My parents used to shop at Kohl's for me when I was a kid. I don't think they had Kohl's Cash back then. Maybe I can't recall.
It was nice. My grandmother would give it to my mom all the time when we were in California. So, when we were, raising our kids and had to go through clothes as they were growing, that's one of the things she would do is constantly give us Kohl's Cash. She was always shopping there. Anyway, KSS, this just started going over the past 20 minutes here. We're approaching $13. Don't have levels ready here for you. We already blew through the 200 EMA on the daily chart. Let me see where we're at right now. So the next area that I see where we could find some resistance is about $14. Beyond that, I don't have a whole lot to add. I haven't covered this one enough, but this thing having the short interest that it does with the days to cover, we could see this squeeze more than just this. I mean, we could go on for a while. After it comes back in, it might go some more after that. Just be very, very careful with this. It does have a float of almost 80 million, so I don't foresee it completely knifing like one of those low floats would. But when this does come back in, it's going to come back in. Just be sure you're ready for it if you are trading this. Man, what a move.
Okay. Good stuff. It looks like we found one here that's going to be in play here today, and that actually leads to the next stock, which is likely going to be in play again here today and maybe longer than today. Fun fact, this was the mystery chart on CNBC's Squawk Box that they do occasionally in the morning. This was it. Now, Jay here, go back real quick and find this comment. Ryan, did you see the Eric Johnson link on Open going around yesterday? It pays to be early. Jay, I think that it is the link that I just posted in the chat. Furthermore, I think that this is the link that you sent me. And when I say I think, I mean I know 100% because I copy and pasted it from your DM. And I shared this when you gave it to me. So again, I'm just going to go back here and say, indeed, it pays to be early. And I can't thank you enough because you shared this really, really early. I think the stock was like $1.20 when that happened here. Now we actually tested 5 yesterday. Now we did pull back. This shows you, this is literally a graphical representation of why you don't chase and why when you folks are trading a bunch of these stocks that are going crazy and someone like myself or anyone else that's maybe missed entry, this is why we're staying away from it, because more often than not, you get a big rug pull. This one actually had several rug pulls before it took it all the way back down here to 3. Today, however, we are trading back up. It does look like we're going to test 4. This level had a little bit of consolidation yesterday before finally moving away from it. Earnings are in 2 weeks. They are confirmed, for 2 weeks from today after hours. So let's do a quick look around the horn here on this one. 21.57% of the float shorted, more squeeze potential here, only 1.49 days to cover. With the big volume that this thing has seen the last couple of days, the 100-day average here is 135 million, but do not despair. We've already traded 99 million here in the pre-market, so we're definitely going to eclipse that average here again today. 13, what do you think on this one?
I think we need to be careful. Now, getting through that supply right here, let me switch to Open Door because I was still kind of watching KSS just absolutely rip right now. Almost to 14. 1385 is the high on that one. But let me go to Open Door here. So this little bit of an area of supply that was created around noon yesterday that we're trying to work our way through here in the pre-market. if we get through that, then this probably will end up trading better. I don't have as much information on this as Jay does. He's been on this to much better degree than I have. So I think whatever he says, I'd kind of go with. But for me, I think we're going to need to see this $4 area get taken up, because that's about where the thick of that supply is. So let's see a move over 4. I can see that there's a large amount of sellers right in that area too. So just need to see that volume show up and take them out.
Okay. Really good stuff there on open. Jay, let me ask you, what do you think is going to happen here today? How are you approaching this one? And I think someone else asked about this one here. Claw said, let's look at open. Okay, we've looked at it. What are your thoughts here on this? Are you trading this here today? Did you trade this before? Are you looking for entry? Give us some context about how you're approaching this here today. I am certain this one is going to get pulled up here today, without a doubt. Okay, in the interest of saving some time here, was there anything else on this list that you covered?
I covered MEDP.
Someone asked about that one as well. Perfect, 13.
Yeah, this is not something that we normally trade. This is much bigger. I don't want to say much bigger, but like a more of a real company. They have lots of revenue. They have lots of cash. Their financials are fine. They do have some short interest here, 14.29% with 6 days to cover. I think that helped give it the lift that it needed to get to this height, the heights that they're at now. They were consolidating after they reported in the after hours here, but now we're approaching that high from that after hours move. We could be taking it out. So wouldn't be surprising if this ended up pushing all the way up to 500. Not saying that it will, but it has potential to. I mean, look, given the move that it just had and the earnings that it had. I mean, if you have time and you want to know more about this, just look at their earnings beats and their guidance raise. I mean, this is a really good report. So that's what it's moving on. Don't have levels for you. Sorry, I still have that.
No, it's okay. So really quick, if you're looking at the chart there and the levels, you're not kidding about this being a good report, 13.
Yeah.
The raises full year 2025 GAAP EPS guidance, the range was 1226 to 1304. They raised that range to 1376 to 1453. That is $1.50 on both sides of the range, higher than the analyst estimate. So you made a really good point about the short interest really kind of being some of that fuel that might have got us to where we're at now. The reality here is that this guidance was really, really good, and that has people off sides. This is likely, this is kind of a thin stock. First of all, float's 22.8 million. Stock is almost $500, $460. It's traded only 72,000 shares here today.
Yeah.
And it's made this 50% move on only 72,000 shares. That's what, an eighth? Just
this is
maybe a
expensive.
sixth? Yeah, it's a sixth
stock
of its average volume. It's expensive, but this is what your chart looks like, and it sure does look like this is trying to go higher, dude. I mean, I can't help it. It looks like it's trying to pop off 465.
If it opens above 460, it's going to open to a new all-time high. And if we want to see where this could potentially go, if there's more upside to be had here, and it breaks out of this this formation that it's making here, which it looks like it could, you could draw a trend line on the daily, or probably the weekly chart would be better. And the trend line that you get as a result of drawing it, and if we do go higher today, it may even print 550, somewhere around there. If this momentum continues, we could see 550 today.
Wow.
Just but here, draw the trend line. I'll show you what I'm.
Yes. Can you give me the spots again? I'm sorry, man.
So I just went with November, the November highs from 2021. Go to a weekly. It might help you out with.
You're right. That absolutely would. Let me reset this here too. So okay. So November of 2021. Got it. That's right in here. Yep. Got it.
There you go. And then just draw through the recent highs we just had at 459.77. And
459, this one right here, right? Yeah. Yep. Got it.
So that's it. That's where, if the price goes there, I think we'll see a rejection. But I'm anticipating that it could go there. It could go up into the 500s, just based off the trend line here. We'll see if we end up getting that. It's very extended, so we might not. But if we are going to break to the upside and make and continue to make newer highs, I'd keep this in mind.
You know what? There might have been a time, even just a handful of months ago, 13, where we would have drawn a trend line like that, and I'd have been like, "That's good charting," but I don't think we're going to get there. But with what we've seen recently, I am not ruling that out by any stretch of the imagination. So, okay, good stuff there on MEDP. Okay, we've got 11 minutes till we open up here. I don't really think there was anything crazy on the movers list. Poly Ryzen is going again.
Well, just Coles, and I got to shout out EKS because he's been thinking about it because they've been putting out information regarding Coles. I think it's very helpful, and it may give us an idea of where this could potentially go.
Shout them out.
Well, so the thing I was saying that we might see resistance at 14. We're long past that now. Thinking about it was calling for $18. We're almost there. But he's also he and AKS are also talking about how the valuation of Coles may be, well, it may be very undervalued because of there's not taking analysts aren't taking into account all the different assets that they have, land, buildings, things of that nature. So I think when they were trying to get bought out, they refused, and that gave even more value to the company. So they're putting out some very good information. I think if you're going to trade this, it's worth reading. But man, this thing has just been on a massive move, and it's totally a squeeze. This is crazy.
This is absolutely crazy. It was a great call here on a squeeze, and good stuff by our chat staying on top of it. Really quickly, I hate to stick my nose in personal business here, but I'm going to do it briefly. Kevin here saying, Lion Atlas, I'm number one, bro. LOL. And Lion saying, LOL. Let me ask you guys, are you guys talking about which one of you posted in the chat first? Because I've watched plenty of Twitch and YouTube streams where I've done the same thing. And I'm amused that whenever I look at a Joe Rogan Spotify podcast, the comments there, normally the first one is, I'm first. LOL.
Just first.
So I'm wondering if you guys are doing this back and forth. If that's the case, shout out and a hearty pat on the back and a firm handshake. I appreciate you guys doing that. More people should be early birds. And also, you have a bar to reach now because EKS had you guys smoked today. EKS had you two smoked here today. So what I would like to see, I'd like to see you step this competition up, and let's see who can be first tomorrow.
Do we have a worm graphic that we could put out for whoever gets there first?
Producer?
The early bird? Early bird gets the worm, right?
There we go. We might need a worm graphic. How about that, producer? Also, really quick here, the poll results are in, and they're entirely unsurprising. I do, however, have a follow-up question. We put our poll out early before the show filled up, so we don't have the large number of votes that we normally get. We only got 212 votes on this poll. The poll was, should they get rid of the PDT rule? And producer made it easy for you. Yes and no. And I'm proud to report that 88% of you said yes, but I'm disappointed that 11% of you said no. Now, I did some napkin math here real quick while 13 was popping off like a king, and I came to the conclusion that there were 23 individuals that said no, they should not remove the pattern day trader. So I would like to hear from at minimum 2 of those 23 people, why did you vote this way? And if you tell me, well, I clicked on the wrong thing, I meant to vote yes, then LOL, but I don't think that's true. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Poll results really not surprising at all. What's more surprising is that there were some people that voted no. Anyway, all right. What stocks do you want to take a look at here, not named Coles, or should we just leave Coles on it? Joe wants to take a look at NBIS. We can do that.
I was asked about GLXY. We can look at NBIS. Let's just go through that list. We'll do NBIS, NVTS, and GLXY. How about that?
Perfect. I hope I can remember that because Pete's out here telling jokes. Of the 23 votes, 22 of them were Ken Griffin. Okay. That's good stuff. All right. I'm going to go to the big chart for this. I don't think we necessarily need the movers tool anymore. First one, we're going to start with GLXY. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, here is Galaxy Digital, ticker GLXY. Stock is up 3% here in the pre-market. We're currently holding at about 28.28. Here's a look at the inside of these last couple of days. The number one thing that stands out to me, again, this high here, 31 and change. That's what, 31.75-ish, right about there. We'll see if we can end up getting back over there. If you zoom out here, it certainly looks like we're putting in some higher lows. So I think as long as this trend continues, we probably have some more upside. I didn't prepare for this one, so I don't know if we have any news here. It looks like no. Nope. Don't really see anything going on here. Short interest have no reading of the float, and there are 13.97 million shares held short. So there is some substantial short interest in here. I don't have a float reading. Do you, 13?
Not on Pro. Let me see what I got here.
Yeah, let me look at Know the Float here real quick.
My broker is saying that it's got 150 million.
Okay, so if it's got 150 million and it has 14 million held short, do some napkin math for me there.
Well, just 10 million. That would be 15 million. And then half that, so about what, 16, 17,
yeah,
18 million.
And Know the Float doesn't have any readings, so kudos to your broker for at least giving us a reading.
Now, I don't know. I mean, sometimes, maybe once in a while, the float will be the same as the outstanding, and they get that mixed up. But the outstanding they say they have here is 373, with the free float being 150. Anyway, okay, there you go, perfect. I was just going to say, if you can look beyond prior to the pandemic, we just had, there you go. So this is what I'm looking at here as the daily or a longer term time frame here, because it seems like every time that this stock gets up to 30, it finds a top shortly after, and that seems like what we may have happen here, especially with the extension that this has had as well. Yesterday we made new 52-week, maybe multi-year highs, came back in. I think this is a little extended. It does have to come back in a little bit. I'd start with maybe 2750 as a potential support area, even though I don't feel particularly great about that one. It seems like down closer to 25 would make a greater support area. But for me, this looks like this is cooling off a little bit, having to come back in. But I don't know if it's going to rally again. It's another one of these crypto treasury names, I believe, as Kevin, you were saying. This had news yesterday about Bitcoin Treasury partnership. So there you go. This is another one of these Bitcoin Treasury names. My whole thought is I think it's gone a pretty nice Momo run. It's a little extended. Not to say that it couldn't go further, but I feel like where it's at right now, it's probably going to come back in a little bit before it goes higher. Okay, good stuff there. GLXY. Next, we'll do NDIS for Joe here. Now, Joe, you were asking Joseph. I'm sorry. I guess you shouldn't say that. And I don't know why my moving averages are like being temperamental here. Anyway. Okay. So Joe was asking here about a breakout, right? So let me go back to your 13. Do you see the NBIS breakout sign I saw yesterday? I think there was another question that you had brought about breakouts. Let me go get that here real quick. No, you just suggested NBIS. So Joe, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think what you saw was that this candle pushed above that 55 level. I have it marked here at 55.09, but 55. You saw that candle push above, but it ended up contracting and then closing on the low. So inside, this is what it looked like. We pushed above that 55 level, but then we gave it back. Now, I don't know what 13 is going to say here, and I'm going to turn it over to him in a sec. But here's one of the things that I can help you with. When we talk about taking out levels and breaking out and capturing and recapturing, it's not right here. It's where does the stock finish when the stock closes? Yep. Right? Because we did not get a close above the breakout level. What we would say in trader parlance then is that this breakout was rejected. Yep. So where did you go wrong? I don't want to tell you what you did wrong, but it looks to me like the head fake was enough for you to enter. And then when it gave that up and was clear that it wasn't going to close above that, you didn't stop out of that trade. Now, what I would have done personally, if I'm going to take a swing, I probably would have waited till later in the day
to see, hey, does this close above that 55? Is it going to give it back? One of the reasons that I'm saying that is because on Ondas, God, we see this all the time. You want to look how ugly and disgusting the action was here on Ondas yesterday. Huge rip on volume, gave everything back, and then just petered along the rest of the day. This is what happens here. MBIS, to me, looks like you didn't wait for the close. What do you think, 13?
So we did point out about how 500 and the $55 level, not the $550, the 500-day SMA and the the $55 level were both resistance areas based on the previous price action. But that created a breakout level. This could still break out. It just hasn't yet. Not enough volume to take it higher. There were more sellers than there were buyers. And I feel like as long as we hold above the 20, and I guess to a lesser extent, the $50 SMA and the $48 level, there's still a chance we're going to break out of this thing. But just need to have better volume. That's really all I would say about this. That move that we had in the morning, that was great. That would have been great to sell into, to be honest, but I don't know what price target we're looking for once we clear out 55. We could, there's a number of areas we could draw upon. There's 58.75. There's actually, I kind of like that area. 58.75, 58 or almost 59. That area seems to be a pretty interesting area of resistance. A little supply zone back from December of 2021 on its way down. But, beyond that, you're going to have to figure out where you want to take your gains at. It does look like it could go all the way back up to 80. I think I was mentioning that yesterday, but we need to see that breakout. We need to capture and close above those levels. So no close above the 500-day SMA, no close above the $55 level. Need to start closing above that, and then we can start talking about going to 80.
Okay. Really good stuff there, folks. We are open. Really good breakdown there. Let's get it here today. Let's trade. Yes, sir.
All right.
Do it. Really quickly, I want to answer Nathan's question here. Nathan's saying, question, PanW is rumored to be buying SentinelOne. Who is the better stock to own if it happens? So here's the thing. It's definitely SentinelOne, because in order for this transaction to take place, PanW, Palo Alto, is going to pay a premium, which means above the stock price. But because this rumor has been out there floating around, you can see SentinelOne has traded up here. And part of me wonders how much premium would be paid. I would say my gut right now, I think it would be better to own SentinelOne in the short term and better to own Palo Alto in the long term. That's mostly because Palo Alto has been absolutely crushing it. Good question, though. All right, DFLI, your penny stock at the highs. That's up at 50 cents. That thing was, 20-something yesterday? Devs, another penny stock. Boy, the three top stocks on the scanner are penny stocks, 13.
Kohl's... No surprise there. Kohl's, that went all the way up to 21.39 before it reversed. We're getting a series of upper shadows here, so that may signal some downside here, but it's getting bought back up, and it might push it back over VWAP. Remember, folks, we're looking at, I think, thinking about it in EKS. You tell me, was it about $35 you think that this was, that we could see out of this? It's been on a nice run this morning. Let it come back in, and once it finds some footing, we'll wait and see if it can push back up, make some new highs.
Anne Marie here said 21.35 was the high line for the old resistance on Kohl's. How about that?
And there it is. 21.39 is the high.
There you go. Not off, being off by 4 cents. Not really bad here. Kohl's now pulling back off that open. 13. I'm going to leave Kohl's up here for a sec, but I'm going to take a step away and go to the washroom. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. So what is moving here? It looks like MEDP, even though that has a large price, it's still getting bought back up. 436 appears to be the support area. It just got bid there that reversed it. Now it's coming back up into the 460 area. We'll see if we can get that 500 or 550, whatever print that we were looking at there based on what the trend line was telling us. Galaxy, this is coming back in. So I guess that was what we were looking for there, being that it was pretty extended. NXPI, this is having a nice move out of the gate here, recovering from all that downside it had yesterday. We might see 228 this area right here as a potential resistance area based on that sideways price action we were getting all day yesterday. That's going to create a supply zone. Coal still coming back in, still beneath VWAP. IVF, that's also coming down, getting a little support from its 65 EMA. We'll see if it can turn around there. If it doesn't, then we'll look at $3 as being another support level if it can't reverse here. GVH not doing a whole lot. H2, that's halted to the upside. Looks like it wants to try for, at the very least, 1160, but it looks like we're going to $13. Let's see if that's what we get out of the halt. UAVS dropped out of the gate, trying to recover. Good morning, Go Steve. Yeah, thank you, Crow. I should look at silver miners. Which ones do you have in mind? Which ones do you have in mind, Kevin? Because I do like silver. Oh, rocket headed to 16, says Joseph Schmo. Perfect. That's what we need to see. Everybody that's taking that trade, this is
okay. Sorry.
So good. Got a point out here from regarding rocket from Joseph Schmo. That's getting pretty close to 16 here. As a matter of fact, we almost exactly printed 16. 15.99 is the high.
Now, same deal here, though. We have 16 and 18 marked off as key levels here for Rocket. But the same thing that we just talked about on NBIS. Great that Rocket is going out of the right out of the open here. High short interest on this one, too, by the way. Great that it's going here, but we actually want to see a close today above 16 for Rocket. The last thing we'd want is for this to come back in, because then we have the exact same situation where the price peaked above that resistance level, but was not strong enough to close above that. So now that we're here, to me, it sure seems like 16 is going to be the key level. We want to see a close above that.
Okay, so Kevin, you want to look at Wheaton, precious metals. You want to look at, let's see, AG is First Majestic, that's right. And then you also want to look at DSV. Now, DSV, I don't think I'm familiar with, but they're all probably having a really good move here since they're trying to catch up to gold. Silver is. Wheaton isn't actually a miner. They are a silver streamer. So they don't have, they don't own any mining operations. They just own the rights to the production. So that has them take on a lot less leverage. So that's I like WPM, but the thing is that all of these have been on such a massive run. I don't know how much more is left in it. Now we might just be setting up for the next move up, in which case Wheaton Precious Metals looks pretty good. But anyway, what is it you wanted to look here with the silver names? Looks like AG actually has the most room to go. I would think that's probably the better one. But and then let me look at
really quickly here, 13 IVF. If this pops above 4, I think we probably see that VWAP there at 428, maybe even a move towards 450. So IVF here through 4. It looks like it's testing it. Want to see that volume really kind of spike here.
Yes, silver does. That certainly does look like it's moving into 40s. I think we tested 40 not that long ago. But it's been on a big run. The gold silver ratio is another thing I'd be keeping an eye on, because if that gets down to I believe it's like in the 50s or 60s, we're not quite there yet. But if it starts to narrow to where it gets down there, then I don't necessarily think silver is going to have any real room to run anymore. We need the gold silver ratio to be wide, and if it narrows, then I don't think you're going to see silver try to catch up to gold as quickly like it has been.
Zach saying, is Ondas 220 level solid here? So I got a couple of stocks I want to take a look at here on the bigger chart. We'll start with Ondas. This won't take long. By the way, the 8 EMA, that's 221. So maybe this does actually kind of firm up here on this move down. Also kind of looking at the volume profile there. What on earth? There we go. Also looking at the volume profile there. Looks like we're pretty much at the edge of a high volume node. Yeah, we're kind of right here on the edge. So you're asking if this level is solid. Man, I hope so, but we've seen we've seen Ondas give up some of those solid levels before. Judging by the performance yesterday, I'm kind of unsurprised to see this a little bit lower today. What I would be hoping for here is that this stock kind of firms up and turns around at some point. The initial pull out of the open, very unsurprising, given the action that we saw yesterday. And then Maverick bringing up a good one here. DR Horton. This is one I know our happy hour team is waiting for, because our real estate expert is actually going to break this down for us. Look at the move, plus 10.4% on the back of this earnings print here. The conference call has concluded, and folks, the chart, an important spot. This price has popped above the 500 and the 200. Let's see if we close above that. Which 113? I'll go to it right now.
H2 is open.
Got it.
It's higher, but we are having a hard time holding above 1150. Now we're just getting going here. I was looking at 13 as in dollars as the next resistance area. We're almost there. As far as Rio goes, because I was getting asked about Rio and if there's a inverse head and shoulders. I see what you're saying about a potential inverse head and shoulders ever since that October drop. I think I would look a little bit larger, and we can see that there's been a double bottom here. If you look at the low from September of 22 and then the recent low we had from the Liberation Day, that's about in the same area. I think that's going to be your stronger pattern there, because look what's happened since then. We reversed off that. We've continued to move back up. I think the next big step is just to take out the 500-day SMA, and then we have a trend line that we need to get through. But this looks more like a double bottom to me. Still, a reversal pattern, a bullish pattern nonetheless. But I think that's what I would be looking at for a turnaround here. Now, keep in mind, Rio is one of the lithium plays we've discussed. If they're bringing battery manufacturing back to the United States, as the recent headlines have suggested with the tariffs on graphite and the closing of or the stopping of production of lithium and by a major Chinese supplier, I think you're going to see other lithium plays like Rio and Albemarle and Lithium Americas. They're all going to continue to get a lift.
Okay, good stuff there. Good stuff there on that lithium theme. Yep. KSS is open. Let's take a look at that. I know that might be the stock du jour here today, based on the move that we saw.
Looks like we got a reversal in Galaxy, so that's trading back up again.
It looks like Kohl's. Sorry, it looks like Kohl's held the 9 EMA on that pullback.
NXPI went up to, okay, so that area that we were talking about where there was supply yesterday from all the sideways price action, rejected right there, going lower. But it is trying to catch some support down from at the 222 area. So let's see if this can catch some bids and get back up above the VWAP. And then, of course, MEDP, this is making new highs. 474 and 44 cents is now the high, moving very, very slowly. This is not, the kind of price action we want to trade on, but it's still grinding up towards 500. So we'll see if it ends up getting there. Open Door, this was not able to get above $4, and it is selling off. Looks like IBF is trying to turn around, though.
Here's what I'd like to think about on Open. What spot would we consider swinging this again? Meaning, where's the buy spot here? Is it 286? Is it 3? Are we kind of watching to see what happens where this thing really kind of opened yesterday, or maybe where it bounced later in the day there? Let me know what you think here on Open. Jay, I know you were trading around a core position, so I believe, if I'm following correctly, you had calls in stock and you were trimming some of the calls and some of the stock into the move yesterday, which was absolutely the right thing to do. Shout out Izzy, by the way, if you're out there. Izzy, I saw on Twitter yesterday you were selling this in the 4s from like 70 cents. What a monster win, buddy. Monster win.
AMD reversed about where I thought it might. I was looking, I may not have posted or talked about it here, but I was talking about it in happy hour. 160 to 165 was the area I was looking for it to turn around, and that's what we got. I think the print was 160. Looks like it was 161 and 96 cents. So kind of in the middle. It looks like this is going to come back in underneath 150, but I don't think it's going to just completely get destroyed. It just has been on a very, very long run, very extended run, and it just needs to cool off. It wouldn't surprise me if we filled this gap to the downside before we found some footing.
Lion here saying open is going above 4. Smoked Tuna had said earlier on H2 that there wasn't enough volume. Tuna, I agree with that. The one caveat is we could all of a sudden see volume pour in there, so that might be something to watch. Also, another holdover from yesterday, Beyond Meat. We saw this move. This was pretty much after the show. I don't know how much I can't recall us really looking at Beyond Meat yesterday. Beyond Meat today, right out of the open, basically traded up to the intraday high. So I would watch this 450 to 460 level here, ticker BYND, maybe a pop above that. Okay, Jay, you're down to, 13. You're down to 30% position after trimming on the way up there. That's masterful trading, Jay. I know you did have kind of a long-term 10-bagger type view on this. I understand totally. That's for partial of the shares. Really good job paying yourself on the way up.
IVF is making a nice move here. And it just reversed. So after 65 EMA, sorry for interrupting.
No, you're totally fine. I actually tried to interrupt you. I might be having too much coffee this morning, 13. I apologize. Someone here mentioned it. Tech is down, right? So the NASDAQ really got pulled by some of those, maybe by NXPI. NASDAQ's the one that's really kind of lagging here today. SPY's actually not doing that bad. It's about unchanged, but it's still green. Dow's actually the best performer of the three.
So more broadening, it sounds like.
Yeah. And actually, stocks like Home Depot, maybe we've come back from the dead. Remember, we sold half of this small swing position at 100+%. I think it was like 120%. And we held the rest thinking that we might get more of a run here on Home Depot, and we got the opposite. Home Depot really, really kind of came in after that big run higher here. But coming back here, trading well with the Dow. Entry was pretty good on this. We are almost back to even. We're only 20 cents. We initially bought those calls at 180. We're at what, 160 right now. So this is almost coming back here. We'll see if we get some more movement there with the Dow.
Yeah, Diamond Hotline. It might just be your broker, because that's one of the things we've found out between Ryan's and mine. Ours isn't the same either, and it's because we have different brokers.
Well, here I can take a look at the setting there. Diamond, I think that didn't you ask this earlier? You asked Brian, though, from our chat, I thought. So that's why I didn't get to it. But nonetheless here, let's take a look here at the setting. Here's what I've got for VWAP.
Yeah, I don't have any. It's just the standard settings. I don't have any anything special to that.
I made no changes to this. I basically added it in TradingView and made no changes to it. So all of these values are their, quote, stock values, if you will.
So sorry I couldn't give you some information on that, but it's just whatever my broker provided.
And Jay here getting a little bit more color on that, or giving a little bit more color, rather. Ryan, I sold partly because the move was faster than I could have imagined. And I think that's a really key takeaway here, Jay. I think even if you have a long-term view on something, if you get an outsized move that happens faster than what you had planned for, I don't really think there's any problem with paying yourself into that move, right? So if the stock comes back in, you can always kind of reload that. You've got some gains from that partial sale. And if it doesn't, you still have exposure to more of the upside.
Yeah, Coles is still selling off here. There's, I think 14 would be like the last area of support before I'd be looking at the 65 EMA. Not that this couldn't turn around and come back later, but for now, it looks like this is giving most of the move back. Probably move on to something else. Wow, GVH. That went right up to the trend line. Right up to it.
Did it really? Oh, you got
right up to the trend line,
dude. It sure did. And you know what? I have that trend line on the other chart. Let me add it in here. Oh my God, 13. The trend lines. They're so crispy. They're so crispy.
IVF has taken out 4.
Okay, let me put that on screen here real quick. Alpha saying caught that HD play perfectly, bought them just yesterday. Really, really good ad here. I would say on this one-day turnaround here, it probably is prudent to trim into that. Maybe not the whole thing, but maybe some of that. That's, we were just kind of talking about a very quick move. Looks like another quick move here right out of the gate.
Yeah, Alrod looking for 500 to 550. It could do it. We're talking about MEDP. It's still moving up. 483 now.
Rocket pulled off that 1637 high, actually broke beneath the 16, but it's right there at 1597. I think that 16 spot's going to come into play multiple times here today.
Wow, big green candles here. Some bullish looking candles too. If this takes out 16, I'm looking at $18. That's the IPO price. Wow, I'm just looking at MEDP and it's like, wow, this thing is just absolutely on fire.
I mean, look, if this gets to that trend line, and then that's just this stock is up 57.5%, just a monster move here.
Oh, thanks for that information, producer. That's probably one of the best things Paramount could have done for themselves.
South Park renewed with a 5-year deal with Paramount for $1.5 billion for 10 episodes per year. So 50 new South Park episodes in total. AEHR is getting a number of mentions here, and I see it on the scanner. Sorry, 13, for jumping in there. We hadn't looked at this yet. Okay, big ramp here. Air Test Systems shares are trading higher. The company announced that it secured a new Sonoma Systems order. So this actually had earnings recently, didn't it? Pretty sure that this was, yeah, it was earnings. Was this it right here? July 8th? I think so. What a turnaround. If this is in fact that day, what a turnaround here on that earnings. Yep, July 8th. Bingo. So what a move off that earnings low here on the back of that news.
AEHR needs to take out 2150, and then I think we're going to make a new high.
Boy, it's right there.
Yeah, the high is at 2182, but it looks like 2150. That was kind of suppressing the price from closing over over that level. Now we're up to it again. I want to see it close this time if we move through it, which I think we will.
Helene saying AEHR has very little American competition. You think there's more legs on this move, Helene, with that new order news that we got? Let me know. Onda's here. Onda's continuing to pull out of the open. More nasty action on this stock. 210 is actually the support one pivot. And we actually just broke that here. Really need to recapture that. Man. I've got VWAP here, by the way, 218 on Ondas. Helene saying, yes, definitely more legs on this AEHR run. Let me know if this pulls back to a specific spot like 20 or 19. Are you adding there? What's the plan here on this one?
It just got rejected from 2147. I'm telling you, that 2150 area, that's the spot to break out over for AEHR.
Lunar is down here, so it looks like some of those space stocks here. Voyager has actually turned around intraday.
Yeah, a lot of those are going to get.
Yeah,
we were talking about that yesterday. All the ones that have been on big runs. You know, the quantum themes, the nuclear, the drones, the space. They're all kind of getting hammered today.
Tesla, big pull out of the gate here too. Tesla is continuing to pull at day lows here. Actually, pull that stock up here real quick.
Diamond, I don't have any. I'm not hoping Coles will turn up. I'm just was giving levels about where it needs to get support. It lost 14, so that's not good. Down to the 65 EMA is where I would be looking next. I'm just saying if there was going to be a trade here, those are the levels I'd be looking at for reversal. So far, it's just giving everything back that it had today.
Tesla here. I think your next spot is probably 319. 319. 319. All right. Anyway, I think Tesla's.
You're ready.
Well, dude, you don't even know. You don't even know. I'm at that stage where I'm annoying outside of work because all I really want is football on the weekend. Onda's continuing to pull here, 206 now. Glenn, I think you had 202 as a fib support level. We'll see if 202 holds. Home Depot still at the highs there.
It looked like for a moment Open was trying to turn around there, still having a hard time finding its footing.
VIX spiking here, 1735 on the VIX. That also at the highs. Bitcoin also pulling off the highs. It actually looks like that made a run for 120,000 on the futures. That pulled back here 118.5 now.
So it looks like the UAVS news wasn't strong enough to give it the lift it was looking for. That's been doing nothing but going down, but it might be finding a bottom here around $2.
Tess, good morning, Tess. Great to see you again. Mentioning coin here, saying, ouch. Yeah, I'm unsurprised to see coin pull back here with this Bitcoin move. Here's the other thing. So let's go to the daily chart here. We lost that upside trend line 13. I'm pretty sure that you assisted in drawing this one. This was from the recent highs back in March of 2024. So this pullback here, let me ask, same question here. First of all, are you still bullish on coin? And if you are, what's the ad spot here for coin? We're through 400. I'm thinking maybe a little bit more, maybe 385, 383 on coin.
MEDP hit 489.55. But it's looking like it may start to back off a bit. So not quite at 500 yet before we're getting a bit of a turnaround here. Very, very low volume. So thought I'd just point that out. Ooh, AHR, this thing did not like that 2150 rejection.
Tesla's still pulling. Goldman Sachs still pulling. Netflix still pulling. Netflix back down to 1215. I think if Netflix holds 1200 again, though, you might want to try that.
Lots of stuff pulling here.
Yeah.
It's like across the board.
PLRZ, Polyrizon, John, good call here. Polyrizon on the move. This actually making one of those outsized moves again. So we had that first leg here out of the pre-market and then another leg higher. And then Izzy, wanted to mention here, you had tweeted me about ticker DYNX. I took a brief look into this, but if you have any other insight in here on this one, what you're looking for here, I would love if you shared that with the group here. From poking around, it sounds like this is a SPAC that is merging with Ethereum. What's the name of that company? Ethereum, the Ether Machine, the Ether Machine. So it looks like this is going to trade under a new ticker. Did I get that right? ETHM is going to be your new ticker here. Let me know what the thesis is here. This is an interesting one. This is up 2% today from yesterday's close.
Wow, IVF absolutely cratering right now. What's happening here? Is it what I think it is?
Polyrizon at a 150 test, PLRZ.
I don't see any news as to why IVF is making this move down. Either it's just the trading action or there's just news that hasn't hit yet.
Multiple open sweeps here, a mixture of calls and puts.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of these names just getting hammered today.
NVIDIA still at that lows 165 test here. Appreciate the answer to this. If coin holds 392, I would buy. Otherwise, I'll look for 372. There's your potential entry levels there on coin. Thank you, Tess.
H2 is finally open again. It opened a gap down lower. It looks like it's trying to fill the gap, but even if it does, I don't think we're in recovery mode here yet. It looks like this could go down some more still. Just be careful with H2.
Okay, yeah, good call there. Now, you guys are talking about Rocket. Remember, DR Horton had its earnings here today. That's ticker DHI. DR Horton up 12.5%. Wow, this is actually taking the next leg higher out of the open here. As mentioned earlier, I did not go through this report. I'm going to be leaning on our real estate expert later on today, so I should have more for you on this tomorrow. But I'm wondering if something was said here that is causing Rocket to move. Sorry, 13.
I keep interrupting you, but DR Horton, this was a really nice bottoming that we were seeing here after we lost this rising broadening wedge that it was trading in since 2022. Today, with recapture of the 200-day SMA and the 500-day SMA, as long as we close above 144. But this is quite a bullish move, and I think that this could go on for a little bit longer if we do close above those moving averages.
Steve, Elf is a rocket ship. Steve, I saw that you also posted earlier you're going to be in Chicago. I got to be honest, I just checked the weather because I checked it yesterday and it was supposed to be like raining the entire weekend. And I was like, oh, sad, my golf. But it looks like you're bringing the good news because it looks like that weather report is kind of turned up here. Enjoy your time in Chicago. What are you doing? Seeing a Cubs game, Navy Pier, the food? What are you doing?
Looks like Open is getting a turnaround bid here. Trying to get back up to 320. There's some sellers trying to hit that area right now.
I wanted to see if maybe there was some more option action here on Open. I'll keep my eye on that. We did just see a whole bunch of them. There's some more. Those are open calls. Oh, that's a closing order there. Those were the 50-cent calls. Oh, boy.
Yeah, big fat red candles all around. Yep. That's what we're seeing this morning.
And Jay here saying that the best performing index today is the one that lagged the most. That's the transports. Thinking about a good point here. So could be all that railroad interest. There was news here about Warren Buffett's BNSF maybe taking over another railway. I didn't dive into that actual story thinking about it. So if you have more stuff on that, that might be relevant for the group. You should probably take a look at that. Ondas, by the way, continuing the pull here now, 205. Rough day for Ondas after a rough day yesterday, to be honest with you.
H2 filled the gap, and it doesn't seem like it's moving. I'm not seeing a halt yet. So if it's not halted, it's just, there we go. Now it's halted. So another halt for H2. MEDP just put in another new high. Still not at 500 yet, but about $10 away.
Poly Ryzen did take that 250 spot. Wow, what a move here on Poly Ryzen. Don't chase this move. I'd wait for a pullback on this, but boy, oh boy, that 150 spot launched us to 182. It's pulling back now. Joe asking, what other real estate stocks besides RKT and DHI? The two that I would immediately add, actually, I would throw three on there. I would throw Zillow, ticker Z, UWMC, another mortgage company that competes with Rocket, I suppose, UWMC, and then also Toll Brothers, ticker TOL. So that's TOL, UWMC, and Z I would add to your list.
If you want,
how are those doing, by the way?
If you want another mortgage name, LDI, Loan Depot, is another one.
That we talked about that one yesterday. Good mention, 13.
Loan Depot looks like it's having trouble trying to get over its 500-day SMA, and with the RSI extended like it is, this could be a rejection area for LDI. You mentioned Toll Brothers. There was another builder that I'm trying to think of. Let me see if I can pull it up on the peers.
Dennis Dick said there were 4 interested parties in the railroad buyout. Call it Love Square. Dennis, he still got it.
I think maybe KB Home, like KBH, would be another one. But,
yeah, that's another good home builder.
Let me see. Did that? Because some of the there's like 1 or 2 that had some really good moves to where I don't think I'd buy it. But KB Home's not one of them. A lot of these home builder names have recently experienced a pretty big sell-off throughout the beginning of this year. And now it's starting to turn around. I have actually some levels here with KBH that are kind of interesting. I was looking for a potential bottom around 42 to 44. Didn't quite get down there yet. We went as low as about just a little bit under 49. So might be turning around here.
Nuke stocks continuing their pullback here. SMR down another 5.7% here. Actually seeing some put sweeps go across here as well. These are the 40 puts, so this is someone looking for some more downside here. Ticker SMR. PHM, Pulte Homes. There you go, Tess. Nice job, chat. Nice job helping out with that watch list there.
I'm not in it, but MEDP is at $94 now, just $6 away from 500. I if anybody's in this, I hope you get 500 because that would be just absolutely phenomenal if it did.
Yeah, I didn't take this one either. Steve here saying, nice, just hanging with my lady's cousin. I think going to a Second City comedy show. I went to one of those when I was back in high school. That was a lot of fun. Just maxing and relaxing. Oh, brother, that sounds great. Be sure to get yourself some good grub this weekend.
Open. It reversed, reversing nicely.
2 minute. 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 2 minute I'm going to try refreshing my platform here and see if I get a little bit better performance.
It's trying to recapture VWAP right now, at least my VWAP.
Yep, mine as well. My VWAP's at 350. This thing's at 340. Let me try refreshing here real quick, see if I get some better latency.
UAVS getting lift here.
News across the wire. I don't know what this is going to do yet. Microsoft accuses Chinese hackers of exploiting SharePoint. That was the Microsoft hack that we heard about yesterday.
Izzy, what's the thought with pot stocks? I know that Newsom was all in on the psychedelic drugs. Is it off of that, or is there something else?
So I will give some color here. So I've been hearing some rumblings. Oh, sorry about this. I was on the wrong page here. Been hearing some rumblings about a potential rescheduling of some of these cannabis drugs. Now, I don't know how much legs this has. And to be quite honest with you, we've been hearing rumors about that for several years. So on the face, that might not just be enough. Here's the one thing I will say about cannabis stocks. If Trump comes out and says, something like, cannabis, we'll take a look at that, and that's all he says, these stocks are a double overnight. So I think what you're playing there is still the same thesis that we've been trying to play for years here, and it's the ultimate rescheduling of cannabis. And while there are rumblings, I just don't know if there's anything official out there yet on this. Fairchild says it's great growing season up here, but he planted dill pickles. Oh, that's fun.
But I will look at Tilray just because you said I should. It's up 6.5% today.
By the way, Poly Ryzen here, back above that 150, perhaps going for that 182 high that it made. Are some of the other pot stocks reacting, or is it just Tilray? Here's CGC. This is basically UNCH.
What's that? Aurora? What was that? Is it ACB?
ACB.
Okay, I thought that was still a thing. It is. The last piece of news that I see is that there was a motion to try and block the Justice Department from rescheduling marijuana. There's a bill being advanced to continue medical marijuana protections and omitting the House proposal to block the rescheduling. So that was from last. That was on Friday. I don't see any other news cannabis-wise aside from the psychedelics headline that we got. Tell me what you're looking at that has us. You're all over Twitter, MSOS until right. What is all over Twitter? They want the passive bill.
Mentions of MSOS and Twitter and Tilray are all over X or Twitter.
Okay, because they want to get that bill passed, so that's what you're getting at. So okay, so what's the name of that bill?
Home Depot pulling back a little bit off that big run to 372. Still going to kind of wait that one out here, I think.
Is it? So this is called the CJS bill. Is that correct? Help me out with that if I got that, and that way we can keep an eye on it. All right, look at the movers here again. We still have H2 that's halted. Looks like UAVS is recapturing its VWAP. So we might get some better movement out of this one. It still has the supply zone from just before pre-market to get through. That's going to be at about 230. You can see that there's some sellers at 225, so shouldn't be surprised to see those. Oh, man. I'm going to have to pat myself on the back. MEDP. $4.99 I'll take it. Wondering if KSS will curl. Where did it end up? Well, it did find some support around the 65 EMA, but I don't feel great about this movement right now. It looks like it could still head lower. Need to see some better volume here. You can see that ever since we opened, the volume's just been a steady decline, and we need to see it expand some more. So maybe we are finding some footing here for a bottom, but this doesn't look quite tradable yet. I'm just really happy about MEDP. Even with the large price and the slow movement, we're still getting that that $500 print. Almost there. 12 cents.
Almost there.
22 cents away. Almost there. It's open halted. Yes, it is. It is halted. It is on the recovery. What a wonderful reversal that was. Hey, no problem, Izzy. No problem at all.
That's how it goes, my man. Don't get yourself trapped with that crappy internet, especially if you're borrowing it off the phone. Been there, by the way. Been there. All right, AEHR pulled off that high, but not breaking down yet. Might still be more on that. Starting to see some bounces in some of these names, namely Netflix, Tesla, Goldman Sachs.
No, Daniel, I'm not. I mentioned earlier that it wasn't in this one. It just moves too slow, but man, look at that thing go. 501 now.
Bilal asking, can stocks halt going up as well? Yes. Too quick of a change in either direction will halt a stock. The thresholds for that are tiered based on stock price. But yes, it can halt in both directions.
Looks like AEHR is trying again to recapture VWAP. If it does come back up here, watch for that move around 2150. Last time we were rejected, and it sent it down through VWAP.
Chris Lefrancois. Let me know if that is how you pronounce that name. That is an awesome name. Enjoyed the morning as always, fellas. You got it. Thanks for being here. Time to go fishing. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Coles was nice to me this morning. Glad that was nice to you. Hopefully the fish are biting too. Enjoy your time out on the water, my man. That sounds relaxing and an awesome summer activity.
Hey, Ray, thanks for pointing out Micron. That's a nice piece of news there from today. I mean, I don't think it's super crazy, but it gets my my space enthusiasm blood going. Micron launches industry's first 256 gigabyte radiation tolerant SLC NAND for space, because we're going to have data centers in space. We will. You'll see.
Anyone read up or thinking about the Van Allen radiation belts and the claim that you can't send a human through it and all of that? Anyone on that? Now, I don't want to start up the whole moon landing discussion and all of that, but I'm just wondering, just because you had mentioned this, you said it was radiation resistant?
Tolerant.
Okay. I guess that's important too. The language is important. Yes, that is correct, and nobody ever gets it. Chris, that makes me feel good because I often try to pronounce names which I've never pronounced before, and I feel terrible when I butcher them. So it's nice to know that I get some of them right. Enjoy your time, buddy.
Was being asked if I see $99 in Micron as a good support area. I think it is for the reason that you have the 200-day SMA right there at 98.74. The 500 is not too far away beneath it. That creates a couple of decent areas. And of course, you have the psych level of $100. Now, what's not encouraging right now is the fact that we are losing the 50-day SMA. If we close beneath it, I would expect that we could see some more closes following this. May see a little bit of sideways action, but I think closing beneath the 50-day SMA is more on the bearish side. So we are selling off here. We are getting to where the RSI might be a little bit too low. We're not there yet. So I would say, yeah, $99, $100 looks like a good support area, but I don't know if we're going to actually get there, this week or at all. There might be some support that kicks in a little bit earlier at about 103.50. Just a possibility. Not saying it couldn't happen, but I think you might find some support for the price a little bit earlier than that 99, and we can look at it then and see what it's doing. MEDP pulled off of 501.30 after hitting that. Kind of wish I had taken that, but at the same time, I'm just happy that it did what it did. Hopefully, some people made money out of that.
Happy when a plan comes together. That's for sure.
Yep. Thinking about it. With a name like that, I'm sure that not a day goes by that you don't think about the Van Allen radiation belt.
Guy Crow says, yeah, I went down that rabbit hole. Kevin responds simply with the earth is flat. Fairchild says it's hogwash. Robert saying high energy particles, but too sparse to be a big problem for space travel. JJ, you and Buzz Aldrin, you're the same. You guys will both fight people that disagree. Buzz Aldrin knocked out Brett Seibel one day, punched him right in the face. Rather entertaining. All right. So here, I had brought the chart up as you were talking about Micron losing the 50-day there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to the scanner here.
Let's see. I just want to check one more thing on this. Yeah, Micron, one of those names that had a 100% plus move. So cooling off is welcome if you're still bullish.
Look, GVH tested that trend line and was just like sad trombone. We're going right back down to the bottom end of the range. Has done nothing since then. Ondis, by the way, did recapture the 209 support one pivot. That's good. Also cleared that 210 area that we kind of talked about. So hopefully, fingers crossed, selling's done there.
I don't know if GVH is going to go back up to that trend line again, but I think if it does, I'd be looking for a breakout in that fourth attempt, because if we don't get that, I think we're just going to end up losing the 200-day SMA if we don't lose it here.
Here's Weeble. So it looks like the dip out of the open here got bought. Izzy here saying Bull bought the low boom. Okay. So what's the target here on Bull? What's the plan? So it dipped, it held. It looks like it held the low from what was this, Friday? Yeah, it looks like it held the low from Friday. Now we're trading back up. What's the plan here on Bull?
Hold on a second. I'm looking at something. Okay, so I think that close from Thursday. Yeah, and I see your point about the low. That's certainly in play as well. But that close on Thursday, I think that kind of established a little bit of footing for the past few days. That close was 1443, and since then. We have not fallen beneath that level. We did trade beneath it once today, but it got bought right back up. So I think that close from Thursday is a level we're going to want to pay attention to. Not to diminish that low from Friday, but they're about in the same area as well. And we need to see recapture of 15. That's an important level. If we can't get back above that, then I'd be concerned about going down and testing the next support area, which I have at 1350, and then beneath that you've got moving averages in the $12 level, which I think is the last area of support before things get ugly.
Seeing some open calls get bought here, the 4 calls on open. Google 202.5 calls. Google's been real strong recently. Look at this. This pullback got bought. This pulled with the rest of tech here and it's getting bought back up. This Google trade was awesome.
It's got about 14 minutes before volume is expected to start leaving this market. Did I even call that? I sure did.
Netflix. So it didn't quite test 1200. Looks like it tested 1210 here, but held so far. Still think we might have another setup here on Netflix coming.
All right. We had a nice reversal in IREN as well. Remember that one from yesterday?
IREN, yeah. And actually, I just saw some contracts come across the wire here. I didn't pay attention to the strike and expiry, though. I apologize. Here is your IREN chart.
Jay, I can answer that. Somebody not watching this show.
Yeah. None of us, I don't think. I think when people see stuff that they can attribute to a short squeeze, the likelihood that they chase goes up. I don't have data to support this. This is just kind of anecdotal from what I see and then just kind of knowing my own feelings on watching something. So I wouldn't be shocked if Coles ended up trapping some people up there and then puked them out when the move came back in.
AEHR still not able to get back up, but it is creating an interesting little downtrend, a little trend line that we can draw from the high of 2182 down through the high of 21.47 that it put in at 9.55. That would be the trend line I'd be watching for it to break, and it might even be a simultaneous break at VWAP as well if it can turn around here. So far, this still looks like it's going to be hitting lower before it turns around. Just not able to get above that 21.50 was a real nasty pull for it. Meanwhile, Open Door finding a bottom at 283. Now back up in the 350 area, trying to hold above VWAP right now.
Seeing a lot of Cores calls getting bought here. That's CORZ. That dip got bought here. How's CoreWeave doing? I feel like we haven't looked at that stock in a couple of days here.
Seeing a lot of red. Some of these names are getting a little bit of a pull right now. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything.
Okay.
I was just taking a look at CoreWeave here. This is at the day highs. It looks like this pulled right out of the open, but it's trying to take out the day high here. I think 129. That actually might send it. Yesterday's intraday high, 134. You could probably look at both of those.
Izzy is flagging Tilray. Says, watch it, guys.
It's Poppy.
Somebody's honking over there.
Yeah, there's someone unloading. I think someone's getting ready to go on vacation out here. Good for them, if that's the case.
Get out of the way. I got to get on vacation. H2 dead. Well, I mean, it had that head and shoulders pattern that it was forming after that most recent pop at 940. It looks like this is going to resolve lower. It did get some support from the 65 EMA, but I'm not sure that it's going to hold above it on this next test here. The volume just doesn't look great. It looks like this is going to continue to head lower. Maybe after the lunch hour is over, it trades better. But for now, this doesn't look like it's going to be recapturing its VWAP in the next matter of minutes.
Booz Allen Hamilton. This is ticker BAH. This is actually trading up here today. This has earnings in 3 days, Friday before the market opens. It does look like it put in a double bottom here around 100, and it does look like it's trying to trade up here. This firm involved in some, I guess I could call it shady activity. There's connections to politics here, but the recent thing that's going on here is I believe Pablo Torre uncovered some type of unscrupulous relationship here between I believe it was the NFL Players Association and some of the connections that they have to like the Carlyle Group, a PE firm that can actually bid on teams. And there's a connection here to Booz Allen Hamilton. I don't have the article in front of me, so I'm sorry if I'm not doing a good job explaining it, but this has been in the news recently. Chart actually looks pretty good.
Smoke tuna. Yeah, you're right. There's not many 100% runners. We had that with last week or the week before, I think. That was, I think that was the signal, because we got a pretty good reversal candle in the SPY yesterday. And now we're heading lower. So if we keep trading lower, like if we lose 25, I think. I'm sorry. No. Let me change that. If we lose 24, I think we're going to start seeing some more market weakness here, which is fine because we needed the market to come in after the run has been on.
And speaking of that, 13, the pullback that we see here in the SPY. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's down here today, but this isn't terrible at all. So to your point about really kind of needing a pullback, maybe that's what the market really needs here.
Tilray trying to push to new highs right now. It's at 77 cents.
Izzy's asking, Ryan, your entry on Netflix. Izzy, I'm targeting 1,200 here. I want to see if we hold it again, even if we peak beneath it and then try and recapture 1,200 intraday. I think if we hold 1,200, Netflix probably tries and bounces again. It did bounce like 30 points the last time it did this, so I'd be looking for something similar here. Worth noting that the 65 EMA on the daily here is at 1190. So it might overshoot that 1200, but that would be the level that I'd be looking at to hold for entry.
H2, that's getting a little bit of a lift here, coming up to its VWAP. That's going to be the big factor there. If it can get over the VWAP, this thing will probably be back in play. If it gets rejected, I think we're going to lose a 65 EMA. There you go. New highs in Tilray, 78.5 cents now. So Izzy, thanks for mentioning that. Not something I'm going to trade, but hopefully some other folks took a look at this and saw that there was a trade here. So thank you for that. Open door. This looks like this is still trying to find some footing to push higher. It is above its VWAP. So I think here it's going to have to recapture that 65 EMA, or we might go back under 3.
The 1380 level here on Kohl's, this looks like this is shaping up to be an important one. Kohl's price action here, less than stellar. That huge spike that felt like short covering, some type of short squeeze earlier. This pullback here, we're actually sitting pretty much right at the convergence of the 15 EMA and the 9 EMA on this 5-minute chart. That's right around 1380. I really think it needs to clear that before it tries and moves higher.
Yeah, and the volume isn't that great right now.
Nope, volume is contracted. Yep.
Now, there could be another squeeze later on today. This thing has got some crazy, probably one of the craziest short interests we've seen in some time.
Yeah.
So there could be something going on with this later. But for now, it looks like folks are just kind of leaving their desks. We're almost at 10:30 when we usually see that happen. So we're just waiting to see if H2 is going to recapture this VWAP. If it does, we might have this trade might be on again.
Zeus here being mentioned by JJ. Zeus, this did pop out of the open. It's actually taking the next leg up here on volume and actually pulling back now that I just started talking about it. I didn't see any news for this, so I'm not sure what's going on. This is not a stock that we look at very often here either. Flywheel-based power boosting solutions enabling widespread deployment of ultra-fast charging infrastructure for electric vehicles. So this is one of those vehicle charging plays here. This having a good day, up 41%, but I don't see that moving on any news.
NXPI, this came back up, and it looks like it's over its VWAP again. If we get some volume expansion here, we should be able to see some better prints again, at least back above 225. So we'll see if we get that.
Jack's asking, good morning. Good morning, Jax. Good to see you again. Can I ask, is it the same logic for profit taking between day trading and swing trading? I would say no, because my targets are different. Thus, my profit targets are different. But the caveat there would be something like we were talking about earlier before you got here with Jay on open. Had a swing plan, had some profit targets, but understood that paying yourself along the way when the stock moves in the right direction is in fact the right move to do. And because it moved so quickly, we were able to take he was able to take some of those profits earlier. So I would say no on the surface. They're not the same. Generally speaking, on a swing trade, I think you're hoping for some higher profit percentage. And with a day trade, you're at that point looking to be out of it that day. So I would imagine you have a lower threshold, but maybe a higher position size. But I would say, no, those are different. I approach those differently anyway.
Looks like the market's getting another pull.
Tesla bouncing back here. You know, sweet one here saying each brand sells their own adapters and there are too many networks. That's regarding the EV charging. Did anyone see this here today? I asked Red Dog about this. Tesla created a new diner. The Tesla diner is retro futuristic diner and drive-in, changing the experience, wrapped up all in one here. 80 V4 supercharger stalls are open to all NACS compatible EV vehicles, making it the largest urban supercharger in the world. I'll be honest with you, the place looks pretty cool. I'd go here, try this for some food. Not thrilled about the Cybertruck box for the piece of food, but
yeah, Cybertruck Happy Meal.
I mean, I'll be honest. These pictures look pretty cool. There's a Optimus robot. Just this gives me Terminator vibes. Like this thing's gonna bust through the glass and then kill me.
So, do Optimus serve you? And also, is everything cooked on an electric grill?
This does not look like an Optimus robot. This looks like a human being, and I can't tell for certain, but it actually looks like behind this cook is a gas grill with a flat top.
Uh-oh. I prefer gas, but you know.
I thought this was pretty cool looking. You can obviously buy merch there too as well.
I didn't know that was the direction they were going to take, because we were talking about how they may move into cell phones. Remember that whole discussion? So this is interesting.
I just thought it was cool. On this, looks like it double bottomed intraday at 205. That now becomes a key level for more downside. If we're able to hold that, maybe we can repair this chart a little bit. 205 intraday.
You guys are funny. I like that. You can, all you can eat batteries, right? Well, it looks like stuff's getting a pretty ugly pull here, except Tilray, that's still grinding higher.
Tommy says, I'll take a double Musk cheeseburger and a vanilla cyber shake.
Yeah. Give me a, no ketchup, extra mustard.
I had the best burger. I had a burger from my favorite burger place that I've ever been to. Shout out Landmark Inn in Northbrook, Illinois. They make the best burger, family-owned restaurant that survived COVID. Really, really good people, but man, oh man, their burgers are outstanding.
We are full Jetsons mode. Well, when we get our own personal EV tools, we'll be there for sure. Do you think we'll see? Do you think we'll live long enough to see a future where we have sky traffic?
I want to say yes, but I feel like my answer is being influenced by the fact that I just watched The Fifth Element and Blade Runner in the past 48 hours.
Nice.
So, I don't know.
Looks like KSS is still on the return. It's trying to recover those 9 and 15 EMAs.
And it did take out that 380 spot that we outlined.
Yep. Watch the volume. If we continue to get this expansion, I'd be targeting that VWAP.
Robert here mentioning Piton, saying, watching Piton starting a slow crawl here. That is not what I thought you typed the first time. However, Peloton here does seem to be moving. Looks like we got a little bit of a volume pop here taking us higher. I don't trust this stock at all just because I've watched this hurt so many people, including people that were involved in fitness during COVID that thought Peloton was really going to take the next step forward by having those lessons, a lot of them being done in home. Stock really kind of worrisome here, but it did do a good job holding 6. I would say another target here for Peloton, probably 7. That's kind of what jumps off the 15-minute chart here. The road to Floston Paradise is packed. Well, if the Diva's performing there, I would imagine. Bob mentioning ABAT. That's another battery play. I believe that's one of those Chinese battery plays here. That another 6% move here. This thing was above 3. Wasn't there another one, TDTH or something like that? Let me see.
American batteries, Chinese?
Well, maybe it was a different one. Yeah, it was this TDTH. Ooh, nasty pull here, TDTH.
Let me just look a little bit more into this. So lithium-ion battery recycling. Okay.
Yes, that one's not a Chinese one. Sorry about that mismention there. Shady saying, Ryan, not really sure whether the radiation belt thing is true or not, but they do put up some very interesting arguments for it. I mean, look, I think it's not true because I'm certain that they went to the moon. But that's neither here nor there. I just like listening to it. The space stuff has always interested me.
AEHR might be turning around to try another attempt at VWAP and the trend line. It hasn't been a bad morning at all. You just got to be patient with some of these that are setting up.
Indeed. And 13, that big pullback that we saw in the market's really kind of retraced about 40% of it. So there's still some more constructive work to be done here. One of the things I'd be looking at on SPY as we print 627.50 here is if we can recapture 628, that was basically the pre-market lows. You might have some more upside from that. Me too, Tom. That's also stuff I find interesting. The man-made structures on the moon and Mars. I don't know about all that stuff about the dark side of the moon and all of that. And some of those structures on Mars, like the face, that one was taken with a higher resolution image at a later date, and it just shows that it's clearly not a face. But there are other odd structures out there, and it's, you know, not specific to that. You ever seen the hexagon on the top of Saturn? Shit is wild.
Tracy, you know, if that's true, then it really does seem like the apocalypse involved dinosaurs.
Nice job on Apple, day trader. That's actually had some real odd back and forth action here, but a pretty decent range. So nice job on that call trade there. It's like about almost a $2 range there. Has anyone else here? Here's your HIMS chart. HIMS actually might be trying to retake 50. Has anyone noticed that all of the HIMS commercials are different now? They don't talk about having GLP-1s. They specify that they have compounded GLP-1s. And I got to think that's a result of the whole Mounjaro Wegovy Novo Nordisk pullout from HIMS. Literally just noticed that the other day.
Looks like you had Bull getting rejected at 15 again. You have Iron that's at its 65 and 200 EMAs on the 5-minute. This is what it was riding for most of the pre-market on the upside. Now it's trying to recapture it after it lost it at the open. H2 could not get it back above its VWAP, but it still is not breaking beneath its 65 EMA yet. Very low volume. MEDP probably coming down to its 65 EMA. We did get support from that last time I was down here. No guarantee it happens this time. I think with MEDP, the whole movement that I wanted to see, that's already over. So I don't know that there's really anything special to be had out of MEDP anymore. Maybe later, but for now, it's trade's done.
Yep. 13, it's starting to heat up here. I'm going to step away for just 1 second, turn on my air conditioning. Give me 1 second.
Sounds good. Let's see what else we got here. We got Crow saying DFLI is squeezing. Take a look at that one. So we've been seeing some squeezes today. So this is a penny stock. It's looking to try and get over 65 cents. If we can continue to get the volume like we did 5 minutes ago, we'll certainly get through 65, but it seems like that's backed off a little bit. 65 cents, that seems to be a breakout level. Let me look at a larger time frame to see what else we got here. Oh, so this thing has just been going down for a while. And 65 EMA, we are recapturing a lot of supply right where it was rejected at 65. But if it gets through that, I don't see a lot of consolidation or supply until about 95 to $1.
Which ticker are we looking at? Sorry.
I was just looking at DFLI because Crow had mentioned that this was squeezing, and this is certainly on a turnaround here. Biggest volume candle, I think, ever in the stock is today. What am I looking at? I was just looking at DFLI.
Penny stock. Yeah.
Crow is mentioning it, so I just took a look at it. If I'm looking at no, I'm not, producer. That was hilarious, though. I'm just looking to see if there's anything going on here. I have no open trades right now. I just not seeing anything that looks too interesting.
Yeah, I'm not particularly enticed by any of the new issues here today either.
Yeah, we had some good price action in the morning. It really does seem like volume has dropped off as it is past the 10:30 mark, where we do usually see volume fall away. It looks like Kohl's is trying to come back up here, but not on great volume. Yeah, so I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of trades right here. Just kind of looking for something to set up. Still looks like Tilray is trying to push higher. So if you interested in a penny stock, there's something for you. Getting some other names here. Deep Pro neckline up. Kevin is saying CLS just started to rebound, and our Alpha say bull is catching. Big money going to like that pattern. I think you mean the pattern day trading rule.
Yeah, again, so I do think that as we get closer to that, there's going to be more details that come out. And you know what? I'm not even going to write off a potential trade here, but I will try to temper that a little bit. I still think we're a little bit farther away than we want to be from that actually making a difference. I'm happy to report the news here today. I'm just not sure it's tradable yet here today.
Yeah, it is recapturing 15 right now. So if we can close this candle that we're in above the 200 EMA, that'd be an encouraging sign that this is trying to push higher.
SBET getting a mention here. You know, SBET, what's interesting about this SBET holding this $26 level. It held this yesterday when it sold off most of the day. It's really kind of holding it today. We get enough trading down here. Maybe this returns and tries and tests some of these upside levels. First one here, I've got at 29 3/4. Robert mentioning Circle. Circle down 7% here. Circle Internet Group shares are trading lower after Compass Point downgraded the stock from neutral to sell and lowered its price target from 205 to 130. Big haircut there.
Following the rejection of VWAP, H2 is making its way towards its 65 EMA. I was thinking that if it did get this VWAP rejection, then it would lose this 65 EMA. So we're making our way down towards it. The value is 786. At least that's what I have. We'll see if it catches some support there or not. Bull is starting to rise.
Getting mentioned here. That's Faraday, right? What's that doing here today? Oh my God, up 32.5%. Whoa. Good mention here, Boonsky. Sorry it took us so long to get here. This is actually over the highs from Thursday or Friday morning. We have news on this bad boy? Indeed, we did. Nature's Miracle Holdings announces a $100 million distribution deal with Faraday Futures. It has placed a non-binding pre-order of 1,000 FX Super 1 MPVs with Faraday Futures Intelligent Electric in a deal estimated up to $100 million. Okay, so that's a pretty good deal with a maximum revenue there of $100 million. That's not bad. That's actually a pretty good catalyst here. Tell you what, volume here is ramping on this name. This is a really good mention. I'm sorry we weren't on this earlier.
Look at the daily chart with this. This has been trying to find some footing for a while, and we just recently, like earlier this month, finally got back over the 200-day SMA. Now we're golden crossing, I think, 2-day. Let's look at some resistance areas here. It certainly seems like 3 could be one, but with the momentum that it's having, it might take that out. I'd be looking more along the lines of 4. That looks like a stronger area of resistance if we break through 3. Looks like NBIS is trying to come back up to 51. We're getting a little bit of a reversal on MEDP after it found some footing near the 65 EMA. This thing is continuing to trade on lower and lower volume. Just be careful with this if you're going to try it.
It was already thin to begin with.
It was already thin. We got the move that we wanted. I don't know, what more there could be unless it really starts to make its way back up.
Here's Albemarle, ticker ALB. We've been talking a lot about this recently with the whole lithium news, EV news, and also with Anne-Marie setting up a trade. This actually above 80 now. Looks like it might try and take out the pre-market highs from yesterday. That might send it.
So this opened above its 200-day SMA, and it just sold off after a brief pop in the morning, going down and closing around 77.15. So today, this rebound and recapture of the 200-day SMA, that's encouraging. We need to get some closes above that 200-day SMA. So hopefully today's the first one.
You guys are saying PayPal is halted?
Oh, really?
No.
Let's take a look.
I don't see it listed as a halt on here. No, I see prints.
No, I see price action. It's not halted.
No news, Christoph. It's not halted.
It does have earnings in a week.
GME gamed you out of some calls. What's GME doing here today? Was there anything going on with this? Oh, okay. So this had a big move yesterday late. I see. So big move on volume yesterday late in the day. Looks like we tried to go again here. What was going on with this? Quantum Biopharma makes a strategic investment in GameStop. They purchased 2,000 shares of GameStop. What in tarnation is this about?
That's interesting.
The stated reason for doing this in the press release issued by the company is to hold on to the company's balance sheet as a strategic investment. That is to hold the GameStop shares on the company's balance sheet as a strategic investment. The move aligns with Quantum Biopharma's ongoing commitment to combining market corruption and enhancing shareholder value through prudent financial decisions and advocacy against manipulative trading practices. Does anyone have any context or backstory on this thing as a theme?
Oh, we're getting a correction here that it's PAPL, not PYPL that's halted.
Yeah, that I did see on the list there. Fairchild says this is insane. Fairchild, I tend to agree with you. I don't get it. I'm willing to listen to something I disagree with, but this doesn't really have much of anything in it.
Yeah, I don't quite get that news. I mean, I understand what they're doing, but I guess I just don't see the value that they see in GameStop.
Here you go. Kevin Malone, board advisor for Quantum Biopharma, quote, "The Quantum team and I see the extreme value in GameStop going forward and the deep value the company has with 90% cash and marketable securities on their balance sheet." Okay. I mean, it's not what I would have done. Day trader, it is silly. Wouldn't you have? I would have just rather added Ethereum or Bitcoin to the treasury instead of GameStop shares. That's just me, though.
I don't know if Bernie Sanders bought GME, but that's just hilarious to me if he did. Is GME setting up for another squeeze? Let's look and see what those metrics are.
13 does that. Faraday here just popping above 3 now. No chill in this move here. Highest volume candle of the day right now. If you're in this, I would think about maybe getting yourself paid at least on partial. And if you're not, I would not chase this.
So GameStop's 18.9% of the float shorted with almost 5 days to cover. We haven't had a new issue of short interest for a while, and we should be getting another one pretty soon. I don't know if it's this week or next week. Maybe Ryan.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, I was looking at Leslie Picker.
When do they release the updated short interest? Is it this week or next week?
Let's see, actually. I can reach out to the desk if I have to. It's a 2-week period. So if we look at the dates here, we had the last effective date of 7/10. I would think in a couple of days. This week, we should get a new print, 13.
Okay. All right. Well, it kind of does look like Open Door is trying to turn around some more here. It's moving back above its VWAP. It's got some other EMAs it's got to deal with here, including the 65, which was rejected at last time. That's going to be at just under 360. But it is pushing back up. Need to see some better volume in that, though. Need to see some better volume in a lot of these. Galaxy Digital might have found a bottom. That's
GLXY, right?
Yeah, that went down to 2668, and it's been having green candles for the past 20 minutes now.
Judge, take care of yourself, man.
Take care, Judge.
Open that door and shut it behind you. That was a good joke earlier. Judge, thanks for all your support, man. By the way, we talked about the SPY bouncing back. NASDAQ also retracing 50% of its down move right now. I'd actually like to see this move higher here instead of stalling out.
Yeah, Izzy, nice to see that it's back up above 15. Let's see if it can hold above it. That's what we need. Talking about bull.
FFIA pulling back now on volume.
Looks like Coles is starting to roll over again. H2 lost to 65 EMA after getting rejected from that VWAP.
DR Horton setting up to maybe test 149 and move higher here. That's ticker DHI.
Alan, we were looking at GME because there was a biotech company that was putting the stock on its balance sheet for
2,000 shares of GME stock added to the balance sheet.
Yeah. So that's all.
Joe saying Z continues escalating. What levels do you see? The very clear one at 80, boss. Here's what it looks like on the daily chart. We've got this high volume node that we're basically trading sideways right at. A break above this. This is about 79.80, that little area in there. And then here's your next levels. First of all, as you can see, if we break this area, we will be trading into a low volume pocket here if we look at the volume profile. But furthermore, if we break 80 here, I've got your next spot at 82.30. And then we have a gap that fills up here at 86.5. So 80, 82.30, 86.5. Those are your three upside levels there that I've got on Zillow. 13, do you have any?
Do you like trend lines?
I do. Yes.
Draw a trend line from the high of February 2021 through the high of February 2025.
You zoom back in and clean this up a little bit. There you go.
We've moved over the trend line. Now we're using it as support. I'd like for the next moves to be away from this trend line now, with $90 being the next target.
Aura Alpha, this is a really good question. Ryan, can you define the importance of low volume nodes for newer listeners? Absolutely. Now, let me see if I can find this is actually something that I have taken recently from Markets and Mayhem, which joins us here on Thursdays. One of the things that we've observed is, first of all, there's definitely a resistance area at the high volume node or resistance or support. You can absolutely look at it like that. But also, when it gets to these low volume nodes, it likes to try to move through those, right? So it's almost as if it changes, if that also acts as a support and a resistance area. My thought here is that if this tries to test a higher area, it probably feels that magnet effect, if you will, up towards that 86.5. Now, I will say this is not the best chart. This Zillow chart is not the best for some of those nodes. Let me see if I can find one that has a little bit better. PanW is not great. I'm just going to roll through some random stocks until I come across one. Tesla's not, or Apple's not great. We'll take a look at Tesla.
We got some pretty good. Sorry to slightly shift a little bit, but Tweetman was saying that he didn't like Zillow philosophy, prefer their competitors. Zillow, we were talking yesterday, that's actually a great barometer for finding out who's buying or who's looking to buy.
Yeah.
So that's what we're using it for. Not so much sales of homes, but agents and hopeful home buyers looking for the next dwelling.
So here, this is this Tootsie Roll chart. By the way, this was another trade that was given away by Markets and Mayhem. Shout out to him and smash up the like for the guests that we bring on here that are awesome. Wow. This is Tootsie Roll. He gave this to the happy hour group early. Tootsie Roll here, you can see that, first of all, the volume point of control down here at about 31. When this stock started to move, you see how it very quickly, in all of these up moves, it seemed to move past this low volume node. Right? So we start to move away here. Look where it stops up here. I guess it did overshoot this higher volume node a little bit, but then it came back in. Where did it come back into? the high end of the high volume node. Then it ripped again, this time past all of those. And then it pulled back again, this time to the bottom end of the higher volume node. So these lighter nodes in here, while they can act as support and resistance, it almost seems like if you're looking for movement in a stock, it's more likely the stock's going to move through that area before it finds resistance. This is just, and again, this is something that I've learned recently that I've been observing here. So as I refine this, I'd be happy to update you. Let me know if that was helpful at all, Aura.
Perfect comment, Joseph Schmo. Love it. Crow is also watching DFLI. This looks like it's trying to break out here above 65 cents. Think that's what you're watching for too, Crow? You tell me. So it looks like Webull is coming back in a little bit after having that move over 15. If we can get that support from 15, if it gets down there and reverse, that'd be great. Yeah, it looks like a lot of tiredness in these names. H2 trying to come back. UAVS trying to hold its VWAP. Doesn't look like that's doing too well. IREN above all its moving averages in VWAP now. So let's see if we can hold that. What else do we got here? Open Door kind of going sideways right now. All right, so yeah, Crow is watching for that 65 break in DFLI. And where can you spend 250K on the smudged NFT that I will never look at after the press photo? I don't know, but it's a good question. Funny one too. That was one of the craziest times when we were trading. Just the NFT market was wild. It was just wild to me. People were spending money on literal digital trading cards. Not that people don't do that now, but it was attached to the crypto and kind of gave some kind of ownership. I don't know. The whole thing was so weird to me, but hilarious nonetheless. All right, DFLI is looking like it's trying to make its way towards that 65 cent breakout.
Sorry, let me take care. I know we're going to Anne-Marie here in 5 minutes or so. Give me a sec. I've got to handle something before we shift over to Anne-Marie. I beg your pardon for being quiet.
It's okay. I'm just talking out loud and people are listening. It's all good. Don't worry. AEHR slowly moving past or over this trend line that we drew earlier. Hopefully we get some volume expansion here. I think that's one of the most important components that we need right now to take this up to VWAP and through it. We just got a break over 65 cents in DFLI. Well done, Crow. Are we listening though? Let's see what else. Tilray, that's looking like it might end up rolling over soon. AEHR, just waiting for that volume to kick in. Galaxy coming back up to its VWAP. MedP, that one kind of sideways right now after selling off from the $500 print. Not seeing too many interesting things. Looks like H2 is trying to recapture its 65 EMA. I don't know how long it's going to take before this one starts printing above VWAP. But IREN looking like it's getting a little bit more of a lift here. What's looking good to you folks? Smoke Tuna, you've been calling DFLI out all day. Okay, so you certainly called that initial move that we got. Got another. Okay, so we got to print up to 67 cents in DFLI before backing off. Let's just at the very least, try to close this above the trend line here, and we can maybe see some more prints.
Is he asking me about a Krispy Kreme Costco deal? I have no idea. I try to not look at donuts because they're delicious and terrible at the same time. I don't see anything in the news feed for this for D-Nut, which I would expect to see. And I don't see anything here in the news for Costco. So I would say on the surface here, that's probably not accurate, but I can't confirm.
Yeah, what's the Costco cream logo going to look like?
Krispy Kreme? Costco cream?
Costco cream. That's what we're going with. AEHR making its way through that trend line and coming up to VWAP. Getting a little bit of volume, but we still need to see this expand more, because if we don't, then it's going to get rejected at VWAP. We want better volume than this. Galaxy up to its VWAP again. Let's see if it can hold above it. Crispy Costco. Yeah, that works too. Yeah. Yeah, we couldn't escape it, producer. We still talked about food one way or the other. It always happens. Somebody will say something and it'll just lead to food.
Bro, we didn't even waste time today. We started with Red Dog on the food. Like, we talked about his sandwiches again and all that other stuff. I mean, it's every day. Like, I can't even control anything. I can't even do it. It's crazy.
Galaxy getting a little bit more of a lift here. I don't know about some of these holding above their VWAPs. They're just, the volume is just not where it needs to be with some of these. Just be careful, folks. We're at that period where there's a lot of people away from their desks on lunch. Things will trade better in the afternoon. Don't get yourself stuck in these.
We talked food 40 minutes, dude. Oh, Zach, that is funny. That is funny. Okay, let's see what time. We do have Anne-Marie coming up here, 13. Why don't we move over to that? Oh, Anne-Marie left.
She'll be back.
She'll be back. Well, let's just keep hanging out until she is back here. Let me see if she messaged me. And
there she is.
She's back. Okay. That's Anne-Marie for us. All right, 13. Any closing words for the group here?
Hey, we had a good day. I felt it was pretty fun. Nice to see some of these names get rebounds, tradable ones. Let's come back here tomorrow. We'll find some more of these names. We'll trade them again. We'll make some money. Enjoy, Anne-Marie. You're going to have a great time up there. I'll see you later, folks. Bye-bye.
All right, 13. Why do melons have weddings?
Why?
You guessed it, because they can't elope. All right, 13. We'll see you later. Let's go ahead and bring on Anne-Marie and see how she's doing here today. Anne-Marie, welcome. Happy Tuesday. I love the background.
Thank you so much. I figured out that if I stayed on Safari, because I've got so many things up there, that it's just better to go to a clean edge. And I think that's going to make our, glitchies not happen.
I absolutely love it. 2% better every day. Let me go ahead and share the screen here. Okay. Do you have anything for us here today?
I have a ton of things to go over, but if anybody has anything they want to talk about, absolutely, we can take a hard swerve anytime we need to.
Yeah, the only one that really kind of came up yesterday was FICO, and I know we kind of looked at that one recently, so I'm not sure we necessarily need to revisit that. But that's all I've got here so far. Let me know if there's, I guess C Boogie here is saying docu, so DocuSign.
All right, I'll put that down. We talked about FICO a little bit, the danger zone that it's sitting in. So yeah, I think it's still sitting in a pretty good sized danger zone. Let me just put an alert here so that we can talk about it as things move. So there we go. All right, so this morning we had a little bit of a sell-off, and there are a few things coming. I was listening to Red Dog this morning talk about the sandwiches, and I burst out laughing because we could have a side food show because we're always chatting up food.
Yep. And that would be fun. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, me too. I like it too. So let's first take a look at Uber. Uber's coming into earnings in a couple of days. Seasonality is not too bad for Uber, and it's got a nice drift. I am thinking that the traders are dying to get after that 100 ticker.
Yeah, me too.
So I actually only have a one-sided trade into earnings. Now, because it's got some good motion on it, I've chosen a call side butterfly so that if it dips, what you want to do is buy the short spread back, and then just let the 95-105 run into the end of the month, maybe to about the 7th or 8th of August, potentially, and then see what you can get. Or you can just sit tight and, get after it. Or if it happens to give you exactly what you want, then, Bob's your uncle. So I like that one. $1.62. So $162 of exposure for a potential $1,000 upside. I kind of like that. It gives me some good cushion. It's not that far out of the money. Vol is packing in $9. So they're going to try to go after that $100 one. So you could have a quick strike there. There's a lot of volume sitting in here. It's going to be easy to fill.
Okay, and for anyone that can't see it, that's 95, 105, 115 on the butterfly spread, and the expiry is August.
Okay, let me make sure I've got it in extra large. Thank you for the little reminder.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And can't see how much the exact cost is if we do that, but we'll know that let me see if I can get the dollar amount up there, because extra large just doesn't allow us to see it. But maybe
I'll tell you what, Thinkorswim does not love sharing on the screen. I think, can you widen that column at all? No, I guess
can't.
Not. Damn. Okay. Well, we'll do the best we can to help you out with that. Sorry about that.
Suckage. All right. So that all right, let's go back to larger, and I'll call it out.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one I want to look at is Dash. And so Dash is also one we talked about. It's also got earnings on the horizon. It also has a little bit of upward trajectory. I read a very interesting statistic that said not Ash, but Dash, that said, golly, it was some statistic that I thought, what? It was huge. About maybe 40 to 50% of restaurant orders are now ordered through delivery services. Very bizarre.
That seems so. Just myself, Anne-Marie, knowing how much more you pay to have one of those services deliver it. I mean, that seems like so much.
I know. But indeed, that statistic I found to be incredible. So what we can see is a topping formation, right? I would not be surprised to see earnings push it into 250 and then have a little bit of a retrace, or a little bit of a fade that tries to get the big fat round number of 250 into that earning space. So what I am thinking is the same sort of structure. We have a butterfly that expires in August, only 24 days, into earnings. We want to see how that goes. And so what we want to do is the August 15, 240, 250 to 250, 250, and then 260, 250. If it does tremendously well during earnings, you want to cover it, right? Same for Uber. If it does great for earnings, cover it. You might get, 100% return, which is a very nice way to just nice, easy moves up. Not a lot of risk, but a pretty good move if it does what it's supposed to do. All right. The next one I want to look at is Lockheed Martin. Now that one, they had earnings.
Yep.
Incredible nosedive. Just shocking. But here's the interesting thing. See this motion right here? Very big sideways accumulation. Traders are buying this 420 area. It held as frontline support very nicely. easily it comes back into the midpoint of the range. Even if they don't run their business as well as Raytheon or whomever, this is a very important sector that I suspect sees a pretty significant upside bounce into the space.
Okay.
And so we have two different trades that we can take. One is if it recovers very sharply, it's a $30 butterfly. So 30 cents. The 470, 480, 490, again, it's only 24 days. It's only 24 days. So it immediately has to recover and start pulling some of these things together. But I do like it. And so if you're looking for a pretty fun move that says, ooh, I wonder if this has a reflexive bounce where people end up going after it, then that's great.
You know, we actually do have some pretty positive seasonality between right now and the middle of August. So this timing might not be bad. And with a cheap price like that, you know, Anne-Marie, one other thing that we discussed from Happy Hour that might play into the thesis here is that it appears as if Japan's election is swinging more to the nationalist / conservative side. And one of the things, from what I understand, again, I get my info from folks that are closer to this than I am. One of the things that they might do is increase defense spending. And I would imagine that these American companies are going to see a benefit from that. And if we see that continue in Europe, that too bodes well for these. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so the next thing, speaking of defense, we can look at this triple leverage ETF. This thing has been printing for a while, a hot minute, right? It's now very close to resistance, but if we continue to have this, it's not expensive. The vol is very high. You can go to something like September, or maybe, the end of September is fine. And you could legitimately sell one of these on the put side and get yourself this on the cheap. Absolutely on the cheap. I own the 45 puts for January, the short puts for January, but the September 25 puts at 47 really gets you the price point round at about 45. And the chart is, you know, that's a pretty nice area of extremely heavy support. I do want to mention, don't have a trade here, but I did put it in the chat when Coles was just going berserker this morning. And I said, listen, the weekly high level here is going to be $21.34. And by golly,
I know, it was unbelievable.
Have a gander. And it just fell like a stone the second that it opened up. I still don't know what the news is here, but, you know, whatever. Maybe somebody had a big position and they were just like, just get me out of it. I just want completely out of it. And they had to, you know, buy to cover if they were short. I have no idea. But using old weekly support and resistance zones are going to help you. And that's the one that I did want to say. Now,
so really quickly, Coles here got a price target upgrade from Goldman Sachs from 5 to 7. It has extremely high short interest, like 60+% with 8+ days to cover. So we think this is just a squeeze move going on. I'm entirely unsurprised that it went to a technical level and then backed off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes good sense.
And then one more thing here. I apologize for this. Where was that comment? What exactly was the butterfly spread on Uber? Because that user could not see the screen. Rick, I'm sorry. We're dealing with the technology limitation here, but I'm sure Anne-Marie can give that to you.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go back to UBER. The spread, August the 15th expiration, 95, 105, 115. We're giving it room to expand and contract. That when butterflies get to be $5, they are not as reliable. We need to give them room to expand. Sometimes that costs more, but this was the cheapest one that I saw in the framework of all the ones that I was choosing. All right, let's take a look. So let's say seasonality is something that we consider, right? And so yesterday in the Benzinga Pro midday Moneyball report, I told the traders, hey, listen, what you want to look for is UVXY holding the floor and then starting to bounce. And today we got that very same big bounce event. Notice it's got a very bearish trend on the 4-hour formation. So that is legitimate that if it bounces out into resistance, it's going to pull back. But it's been making higher lows over the last couple of days into the weak seasonality. Now, let's say we get a minor exogenous shock. What I want to show you is this one that I shared with everybody yesterday. I said, hey, if you want to get put to UVXY, which is the Ultra VIX short-term futures ETF, meaning this goes up if prices go down. And so yesterday, this was only 30 cents. Today, it's 37 cents, but it's still really cheap for $1,000 spread. And if we have any kind of reflexive action, this is some of the cheapest insurance I've seen in a very long time that actually holds into September. So I like it. Full disclosure, I am in it. But if you're looking for a little bit of insurance that's super cheap as prices end up doing what they're doing, whether they get rickety or let's just say they keep trending up, $40 for $1,000 of potential upside. I don't know. Seems like a little bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah, and as they say, you want to buy insurance when it's cheap. You don't want to be chasing that when the move already starts. So I think that's a pretty good way of looking at that, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, I really like that one. If we're staring down why I picked that 30 area to 40, it looks like this zone up here at 30 gives us real reflexive action that, I mean, if it explodes, it's going to explode. And so if you're saying to yourself, you know, maybe I'll try to sell this for $1 or whatever, don't load the boat. I bought 5 of them. So, you know, I've got $150 of exposure and, you know, it's a nice little thing if my portfolio happens to take a little bit of a dip. All right. The next one I want to talk about is, whoa, so many. Palo Alto.
Yes. Well, that's the reason I'm saying that is because we actually got a question earlier. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Palo Alto rumored to possibly be in talks with Sentinel One to acquire them.
Interesting.
So the question earlier was, what would be the better stock to be in, Sentinel One or PanW? My thought would be if you're looking, it's okay. If you're looking for the quick trade there, you probably want to be in Sentinel One because there's likely going to be a premium paid there. But if you have a more long-term approach and Palo Alto seems to be folding something into their business, it's reasonable to assume that it's going to make the business better. Maybe the play there is PanW, but just wanted to give you that little context there. I'm curious to what you build here for us.
Okay, so a couple of things. There's a little bit of negative seasonality that has Palo Alto during this framework. Normally, when one company acquires another, the company doing the acquiring normally takes a dip. And so
I will say that she froze in a
great buy. So the question is down. And so if I am looking at this very big range, and I'm going to hide my super trend indicator right here. So it's hide study. Hang on, I don't want these. Oh dear, it's not showing up. Anyways, whatever. Uh-oh, Frozen. Okay. What I'm seeing is a very wide area of accumulation. And so the ideal buy zone for Palo Alto is really down here between 175 and 179 in terms of really big motion. And that's pretty far away from where it is right now. Obviously, it's got itself a little bit of a dip. Obviously, the traders are hanging on here. But if it responds to seasonality, there are some things that, we might have to look at. So first things first, if we stare down Palo Alto from a fade, now, of course, Benzinga Pro traders and I took these trades yesterday. So we'll see how they're moving today. This one's up, this one's up 25% already, but it's a put. Notice I've only got it until the 8th.
Yeah.
Quick strike motion, because there are going to be a lot of dip buyers sitting in this framework. Hang on 2 secs. Dip buyer sitting in this framework. And so I am thinking that this is going to be the better one. Now, the one that's from 197 to 187, which is a little bit wider, was a fair bit more expensive yesterday, but it's also almost up 40%. And so that's one of the reasons you end up taking a butterfly that's more expensive, because you're seeing the price action move the way that it does. Now, the next thing is a back ratio. So a back ratio says two things depending on the way that you want to run it. The first back ratio says, hey, I'm going to sell a put. This one is being sold at $197.50. And then I'm going to buy 2 puts underneath. So my margin is much smaller than, say, a regular spread. Now, what it does is say, hey, listen, this thing has to lose $195 plus the cost of the debit in order to make money by August the 6th. Now, if you think it's going to go into 190, you're going to be in great shape, which is what I think the put is going to do up here. So this might be cheaper today. No, it's even more expensive. So this one's also in good shape. The one I took, because I like to do everything for credit, is I bought the 180s because I think reflexive action is very likely to the base of the formation. And I sold 2 of the 175s. I got a 10-cent credit, right? Right now, it's still doing all right. 3-cent credit, 4-cent credit, whatever. It is something that I expect a nice fade. I did it for credit. And so the reason I do things for credit is a couple of ways I can win and only one way that I can essentially lose, right? And so the one way it begins to lose is if it loses $172.50 would be my floor there. So it could move all the way down into there and I would still be at break even. It could do nothing and I would still have a credit. And it could move the $5 and I would make $500 and have my credit. And so I just like selling the back ratio because I do a lot of things using margins anyway. So that's that one. I know, does that maybe a little complicated for everybody?
Yeah, but it still makes sense there. And really quickly, just to kind of chime in here, because we had a discussion earlier. I don't know if you heard, Anne Marie, but it looks like they're going to get rid of the pattern day trading rule finally. You didn't hear? So FINRA is actually going to submit a proposal by this fall to end that rule. But
Oh.
the way the timeline shakes out here is that it's likely, if everything goes according to plan, it's likely not going to be dropped until the end or close to the end of 2026. So good news that they're moving in the right direction here. Someone had asked on our discussion earlier about this, someone had asked, what's the benefit of having a margin account versus a cash account where you can day trade all day long as you have funds for it? And this is a really good example, right? You are not able to execute that trade if you are not on a margin account, correct?
That is correct.
So there's one of them, folks. If you're going to do some of these multi-leg options, it makes sense just to have a margin account to begin with. So, okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff there. We tied that together.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. The next one, pool.
Wasn't this a Warren Buffett favorite?
You know, I don't remember.
I think so. I think he added to this. Anyway.
So it's had a fair bit of interest lately, and it's moving into earnings, which come on the 24th. That is Thursday. And so, again, we're thinking about what's been going on here in this chart, and is it ready to make a move to the north? And so I think it is. From a seasonality perspective, wow, that price went up. Whoa. Okay. It's all over the place. So we might have to be a little clever here. So these guys also, they have earnings coming up. If they do poorly in earnings and we buy this call spread, it's really going to diminish the short side, and you could cover it and let it, rise as you want to. If it moves up, it's going to be in pretty good shape. Now, when I put this trade together, it was about $2, and so that's pretty crazy. It's up $10 today. That's insane. So let's shift it a little bit. It's still calling for a $32 move, right? And so if we shifted this, let's see where the traders are sitting. I wanted to try to be as prepared as possible for you, so if things got wonky, we wouldn't be in some kind of catastrophic, but still thin. The volume is still thin here.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, the spreads. If we did what's the 320 to 330? 250. It's not bad. Let's see what it is if you can get the spread. Now, I'm not sure we can get the spread because the volume is so thin, the butterfly spread. We probably could get the long call spread, 320 to 330, and try to put that in at a limit order of maybe $2.25, something like that. Just get it a little bit cheaper. If it moves up, it's got a good shot of punching through these areas right here before retracing. Notice this breakaway zone, it's really in the process of breakout. So as long as it holds $310, you'll be in pretty good shape. So maybe you want to take this tomorrow afternoon rather than now. See what price action does, see if it fades a little bit, and go from there.
Okay. And real quick, just to kind of tie the knot here, at the end of the first quarter, Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway, increased their pool corporation stake by 145%. So they more than doubled it there. And it's pretty much been sideways since then. So interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And the fact that it's been sideways is really great for overall price action building, because remember, this sort of motion is inventory accumulation for people looking to distribute up at prior regions of resistance, which look like about $330 to me. So that actually looks pretty good. The last one I have for us is General Dynamics. And so this one sort of had a reflexive move. It had a fade off of the noise from Lockheed Martin, and it's recovered fairly nicely. It is coming down into a frontline support. Let's put this on a weekly so that you can see this. I'm not trying to be negative in any kind of way, but to me, the war machine is building up, not rolling down.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether you agree with it or not, things like General Dynamics, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin,
Northrop
those
Grumman.
things, yes, Northrop Grumman, they are going to catch a bid, particularly on the edges of support. And so when do we have earnings here? I think it might be tomorrow. Yes. So we have earnings tomorrow. It could be something that is kind of yucky, or it could be great. So again, what we want to do in this case is think about forward motion. And so if you're thinking longer term, right, this might not be something that you want to look at. For the quick strike, they're calling for a $10 move through the earnings base. So not that big, right? So that would put it at about 307. And I put the August 15 one here. It is a little expensive, but still $200 for a potential $10 move to the upside. And when you pay more for them and they're closer to the money, if they come right into the region, you want to get out right away. You can get a 50% return on these, and there's quite a bit of volume. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, well, what if my price action behaves like these things normally should in the third quarter and we shoot the moon? So there's a Lynn Alden interview that's out, and she said, hey, load the boat for equities. We're going to have ourselves a screaming fourth quarter. And so if we're staring that down, then we literally can look at our old resistance areas at 315. So maybe we go 310 to 330 to 350. That's a $2,000 upside for $338. And you sort of set it and forget it there. If you are inclined to go, wait, I wonder if Lockheed Martin is sort of telegraphing the way General Dynamics or some of these others might perform, we would go, maybe I'll wait until after earnings.
Okay. They report earnings tomorrow morning, so we'll be able to do that tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Anne-Marie, we are out of time. Time flies when you're having fun. Really good stuff here again today.
Indeed.
We'll see you on Friday, right?
Yes,
all right,
sir.
Perfect. Have a good one, Anne-Marie. We will check in with her on Friday, get you some more trades. Really good stuff. Right now, though, we're going to send you over to Tech Tune-Up with Paul Meeks. And by the way, we're going to be debuting some new stuff that you can expect to see on the rest of the channel. Thanks, everyone, for your support. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you.